Helps if I unmute. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Year. What conversations do I want to force tonight? Let's see. All these nights talking about the Knicks. We can still do that. Obviously, the Yankees lose. Mets are on right now. Luis Ortiz. Guy had a plan tonight. All right, here we go. Here, let's do it. 888-808-1019. The Mets are up 3-0. Yes, runs were scored again in the first inning. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, coming through in Chavez Ravine. The Knicks were partying. Yeah, we're going to talk about those Knicks. They were in the club. They were partying after they lost. Right before they fired the coach, they were drinking. They were out celebrating. Yeah, we'll cross off some of the names tonight of who will not be the next head coach of the New York Knicks. We will talk about everything that we can talk about besides what I'm going to open up with. The Yankees lost. Sometimes it just isn't your night. 888-808-1019. Sometimes it's not your night, bro. Sometimes you get shut out at home in front of your fans. Nice weather. Nice night to go to the ballpark. Call me if you were there. Tell me what the vibes were like. I mean, there are no vibes when they don't score. There are no vibes when they don't hit. There's nothing to get excited about where, there's like 2 hits for most of the game. And I tip my cap to the Cleveland Guardians. Yes, the Cleveland Guardians. This is an ALCS rematch that's getting no hype. This is an ALCS rematch that nobody is looking at as, oh, well, maybe these two could face off again for the American League pennant. Obviously, because the Tigers have a decent-sized lead on the Guardians for now, But Cleveland, man, they're a little crafty, scrappy team. And that's the exact kind of game that they like to play. Jump on you early, and we'll start with Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt, not mad at you, bro. I kind of was watching Clark Schmidt thinking about Tyler McGill last night, right? Tyler McGill gave it up early and then settled in, retired, I think, 16 out of 17 batters. Clark Schmidt gave it up early, retired, I think, 13 out of 15 batters, gave you some length. But ultimately, that's the game right there. That's the game in the first inning. You know, I'm listening to the start of the game, and before I know it, I'm like, we're in trouble. Steven hit the Quan, walks. Angel Martinez, homers. Jose Ramirez, what a dog. I don't know why he signed that contract. He cost himself so much money. I guess money ain't everything. I guess he likes living in Ohio. But like that dude, I think he's got a 30-game on-base streak. He's a hitting machine. He hits a double, and then Carlos Santana flies out to right, and then next thing you know, Daniel Schneemann had a good game tonight. Schneemann doubles, and Jose Ramirez scores, and it's 3-0, and it would stay 3-0 until the 8th inning. And the Yankees, man, I don't know. Tonight, who are you going to be mad at? I know you're going to be mad at Volpe grounding into double plays. You're going to be mad at guys just being frozen, but like, tip your cap to Luis L. Ortiz. He had a plan and he executed it. Yankees made him look like an ace tonight. And I've seen the Yankees make a lot of guys look like aces. Guys that might not be on your radar. You might not be thinking they're going to come into Yankee Stadium and dominate. And the Yankees just go quiet. The review system was not on our side tonight. They couldn't get anything going. And it is what it is. It sets up the rubber match for tomorrow, which I'll be at the game, and I'm looking forward to it. Max Fried, who has to have a bounce-back performance for the first time all year. He's dominated all year. Well, now we're going to see how you respond to giving up 6 runs and taking the L in Dodger Stadium, how you respond to this pressure when we need you to be the stopper in the rubber match. I think he's going to respond. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to these guys hitting and figuring it out. You know, tonight was just not their night, a quiet night. Grisham 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Ben Rice still hitting the ball hard, having good at bats. He had 2 hits. Judge had 2 hits. You know, Judge slapped the single through on Ortiz. Rice was able to get something going. And that's another thing about the Guardians too, right? When they when they do get a good start from their starting pitcher, you're going to see their bullpen. And if you remember from the ALCS, their vaunted bullpen, Tim Herron, Hunter Gaddis, and Emmanuel Clase. And it's funny because I thought for a second it was going to get a little dicey for Emmanuel Clase like it got for Devin Williams last night. Both of those guys struggled early on in the season. Like Clase lost his closer role for a little bit early in the season. He's one of the best. This is a guy who the Yankees had soul searching last year. This is a guy, like, after the Yankees got to him, he's posting all his trophies and all his accolades and awards on Instagram to remind people that he's still him. He still is. If you watched him touching 99 tonight, you know, it got dicey for him, but he got all 3 of his outs via the strikeout. Struck out Judge, struck out Goldie, struck out Jazz, and that's it. 888-808-1019. We'll talk about it, but ultimately we're going to move away from it because it's one game. They got shut out. They had nothing. They couldn't get anything together. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Left 6 on base. I'm sure you're going to point out certain guys specifically, maybe DJ LeMahieu, maybe Austin Wells. I already said Volpe grounded into double play twice. I mean, Rice grounded into the double play too, but he had 2 hits, and you're not mad at Rice because he's hitting home runs. He's having a great year, but yeah, it was just one of those nights, man. Jazz with 3 Ks, even though he had a play where, you know, he almost had like a swinging bunt, hustled, and got on with a throwing error, and you would hope that the Yankees would be able to get something going there, but they didn't have it tonight. They didn't have it tonight. You know who had it tonight? Again, Luis L. Ortiz. That guy was throwing some nasty stuff, had those guys frozen. He froze Judge, I think, in the 3rd inning on a pitch right down the middle that looked like a meatball. He had the slider going, sinker going. He was having his way. Like I said, he had a plan, and he looked confident through 5 innings. He looked confident. He looked like he had a swagger about him, and sometimes it's other people's nights, right? Team from Ohio comes to New York, they know. 36, almost 37,000 people in attendance. It's Yankee Stadium, the greatest stage. They know what time it is. And we know what time it is tomorrow. It sets up the rubber match. 888-808-1019. Got eyes on the Mets. 1 on, 1 out. Top of the third. Mets lead 3-0 in Dodger Stadium. Already told you Pete Alonso cashed in. And, yeah, of course, we're going to talk about Tom Thibodeau. You know, I heard Rick Pitino on the radio broadcast as well as the TV broadcast. I was like, perfect timing to have Rick Pitino to come throw out the first pitch. You know, a guy that coached New York's college basketball team that also played in the Garden and had a great year, and then they failed. And, you know, obviously he has, a ton of experience, and, you know, he spoke on Tom Thibodeau, and we'll talk a little bit about what he said. And I'd like to play some audio later from, you know, what some other guys are saying, what people's reaction is. And like I said, we'll cross off some of the names that have been thrown out there in the last day or so to be the next coach. I just think it's Johnny Bryant, unless there's some mystery name, unless there's some mystery man that they have a plan that nobody knows, that they've kept under wraps. I don't think it's going to be the guys that everybody has pointed to. And they asked Pitino. Pitino said he didn't want the job. He's too old. But yeah, I will try to fill this time until 2 a.m. with stories and other storylines and themes and things from sports, because I'm not going to get all wrapped up into one Yankee loss on a Wednesday night, June 4th, where they didn't have it. That's baseball, Susan. I mean, Stanley Cup is on. It's 3-3. Panthers, Oilers. Let's go Oilers. Connor McDavid. It's got to be the year. And we'll also get set up for the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals is tomorrow. Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder. And, yeah, the sports are sportsing. So call me up if you want to talk about the Yankees. We'll get that in first. We'll react to the Mets game as we ride around with that. We're definitely going to talk about the Knicks, Tom Thibodeau, the aftermath. Now it's been a couple days and you've had some time to think about it. And, you know, some other things have come out. Some coaching hires have been made. Some interesting news around Karl Anthony Towns. And, yeah, we'll pass the time talking sports on the Fan. Keith McPherson on the Fan. KM to AM returns right after this. What's the chat on? Yeah, this is what I'm not about to do. More Tibbs talk. Really, yes. Much rather do that. Stephen Kwan is one of the best in the business. The Make It Happen Mets. They're making it happen right now. 2 on, 2 outs. They're up 3-0 here in this third game. Been a great series out there for them in Dodger Stadium. More runs scored in the first inning again. What's up, Pam? Anthony in here saying, what's up? Yeah, the offense was quiet tonight. It happens. The best in the business. Appreciate it. When you working and I'm working, I'm here for you, man. I could be asleep. I could be home watching TV, watching the Mets, be working on something else. Oh, I'm at work. I'm doing my job. I'm here to entertain. I'm here to talk sports, take calls, and pass the time in the city that never sleeps. Noti Squad, you already. They in here. They in here. Finally, a normal person on WFAN. Yeah, very normal. I don't yell. I have nothing to yell about. I don't have any personas or characters. I don't have any shtick. I don't have any hot takes for you either. I'm just a sport fan that likes to talk to other sport fans about sports, man. I mentioned it, Katie. Stanley Cup is on. I'm not watching it because it's not going to move the needle around here. No one's going to care. But I will have a conversation with anyone that wants to. Military Mike is back. Hello. In the YouTube chat. The YouTube is growing. Exactly. We lost the game, but we didn't lose the series. You got your ace on the mound tomorrow, and I think he's going to come back and bounce back and really look the part. So I'm excited for that. I'll be there for it. They hold the 3-2 edge in the head-to-head with New York. Correct. I'll mention that. Let me star that. If you remember correctly, the Guardians almost swept us in Progressive Field. Rubber game tomorrow, yes. I heard Evan Roberts and Sal Licata take turns bringing bagels and coffee to Mike Francesa's house. Is that like maybe in the past? Is that a joke for right now? Maybe when they were here younger, 10, 15 years ago. They're both married men with children and very successful in New York radio. And Mike Francesa hasn't been here in years. I've never met Mike. Would love to meet him. I listened to his podcast, got respect for the guy, but I wasn't in here with Francesa at all. So, Alonso, yeah, I just heard them say Alonso's on pace for 131 RBI. Cha-ching. Like, if I'm Alonso at the pace that he's at, what's up, Marco? Give me 1 second.
O'clock, I'm Marco Belletti. Good evening at 11 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Well, the Mets with a 3-0 advantage on the Dodgers. Bottom three. Pete Alonso got him started with a two-run shot that was in the first inning after Juan Soto had an RBI ground out. That all Tony Gonsolin, who settled down a bit. Meanwhile, Griffin Canning, again, stellar. 2 1/3 innings. He's given up just 1 base hit, 4 strikeouts. Mets looking to take 2 of the first 3 of this 4-game set. A 3-0 advantage on the Dodgers. Bottom 3 in L.A. Pete Alonso with his 13th of the season. Meanwhile, before the game, Carlos Mendoza giving the latest on the Mark Vientos hamstring injury. Meanwhile, Guardians blank the Yankees 4-0. Just the second time the Bombers have been shut out this season. 4 pitchers combined to hold the Yankees to just 5 base hits, while Clark Schmidt gave up 3 runs in the first, did settle down, gave the Yankees 5 2/3 innings, a 3-run ball with 8 Ks. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1, we're headed to overtime. The Panthers and Edmonton are all even at 3. And things still a little raw with the Knicks' surprising move on from Tom Thibodeau after 5 years in the conference finals appearance for the first time in a quarter century. But now it's about who do they turn to next. And a hot name is a former assistant in Johnny Bryant. One of the roadblocks to be gone for the Knicks. If they want to go that route, it seems Suns reportedly going Cavs assistant Jordan Ott to be their next head coach. Bryant has been said to be a finalist there. 74 degrees, clear skies, Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
We lost? Yeah, we lost. A lot of losing going on. It's okay. Keith McPherson on the Fan inside the 11 p.m. hour, the last hour on the Fan in New York this Wednesday, June 4th. I'm not tripping over that loss. I'm giving credit where credit is due. The Guardians almost swept the Yankees in Progressive Field. You know, they take that game tonight, and now they've taken 3 out of the 5 games that we've played. Don't let them take this game tomorrow. Then they've taken both series that we've played, and then we'll have a different conversation tomorrow night. 888-808-1019. Gary is in Waterbury on the Fan. What's up, Gary? What up, bro? The girls scream like I'm Keith.
Yo, shout to my man Rinaldi, my man Chris Hamill, my man Artie Lurs, and all your avid listeners who are the never callers. You know it takes a different breed to be a caller and not a listener, but I know a lot of avid listeners for my whole life.
Yeah, I think it was Francesco on the 30 for 30 that said callers are performers, right? Callers want to be a part of the show.
I'm shouting them out. I gotta shout them out because I do know they do listen every day. Foo Philly and Foo Soto, and I know Sins is a pro's pro, but I'm sick and tired of him gushing over the other team's players. I listen. It's
Jose Ramirez.
It's Susan and Sims for me for life, and he's way overboard with being way too nice to the other team. I mean, I don't want him to be a homer, but he is way overboard on the other team.
I think that comes from being in Seattle, bro. I think that comes from being in Seattle and other teams getting the best out of you. And, other teams kind of having better players than you. And, yeah, he's still adjusting to being in New York with the bravado of the New York Yankees and the obnoxious arrogance of the New York Yankees and never paying respect to anybody else. And tonight I'm trying to pay respect to the Guardians. Like, they're a pretty decent ball club for what they are.
No, that's not off base. He is. That's just an honest assessment. And I am scared of Williams being the closer. Period. Stop. I am deathly afraid of what's going to come up when Williams is closing. I'm definitely afraid of it. I can't.
We avoided it last night, and I thought tonight we would just score a bunch of runs and not worry about it. Can't predict baseball was the opposite. We didn't have to worry about it. We were down. We didn't score any runs. I mean, Fernando Cruz comes back, and Fernando Cruz is an option. He's got some saves under his belt this year. He had 3 strikeouts, but he gave up the homer, and I don't know. It's the first outing back. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I'm not confident in it at all. It's going to be scary. It's probably going to be a 50-50 type of deal, but it's for a month, maybe a month and a half.
I'm so scared though. He's trying to give it away though.
No, he's not. That's the thing. He's not trying to give it away, and he's so worried about that. Thanks for the call, Gary. That's the thing about Devin Williams. I'm watching his body language. He so badly doesn't want to give up anything because of how he started here. He does not want to go through that again. I listened to him post-game, and he said something along the lines of like, yeah, that's the job that they need me to do for the team now, so I'm just trying to do what I got to do. Like, bro, aren't you a closer? Have some swag about you. Have some fire about you. The job that they want me to do, that's how you know this guy's not going to be here next year. And we need him this year. This team can get back to the World Series this year with the best version of Devin Williams. But even the way that he answered that question, like, oh, I'm just doing what they need me to do. You should have some type of ownership. You should have some type of want to be a closer. That's how you're going to get paid, bro. That's how you're going to get the big money. You should come into that post game and be like, you know what? It got a little rocky for me, but we got out of it again. Last week against the Angels, it got a little rocky for me, but we got out of it again. Yeah, I'm the closer now, and I'm glad to get back into that spot. I've done it for years. I'm confident in my stuff. I'm back in my rhythm, and I'm here to help us win some games. I want to be that guy. So for any people like, and there were some people talking about, oh, this is Devin Williams' opportunity to win the closer job back. He don't want it. Not with the Yankees. Luke Weaver, when he comes back, there is no playing a game. Even if Devin Williams is lights out, right? That's what people hope. And I don't know how you hope that. I guess hope week continues. You hope that Devin Williams is going to be lights out. He's got 2 pitches, and they sit on those pitches, and he does not have the body language and the mannerisms of somebody that's going in there to dominate, whatever. I don't see a world where he dominates to the point that Luke Weaver comes back and he's a setup guy. We have a closer. We have the ferocious jungle cat that is Weavy Wonder, Dream Weaver, Luke Sky Weaver. When he comes back, he's the guy. But for now, Devin Williams, please don't blow it. And how are we going to deal with it? The way we're going to deal with it is pray, keep your fingers crossed, and hope that he doesn't give up homers, he doesn't give up hits, and that the Yankees score runs. In 2 nights, the Yankees have scored 3 runs. Not good enough. Max is in Brooklyn on the fan next. What's up, Max?
Hi, Pete. Great show. I really like it. I call a lot. I was wondering, who do you think the Yankees go for either second or third base? I really like Oswaldo Cabrera. He was my guy. But what do we do without him?
Well, I don't know when Waldo's coming back. It's going to be a long time, and he's kind of not a factor here. You're saying who do they trade for at the deadline, a second baseman or a third baseman?
Disaster.
Yorbit Vivas, that's another thing. The other night I was saying, like, where's Pablo Reyes? He's here. He's just on the bench. Yorbit Vivas got sent back down. So, we have Reyes here because Reyes, they can throw in the outfield if need be. And then Peraza is on the bench because he's got no more options and they don't want to just cut him or trade him. I think they might trade him at the deadline. I think Cashman is going to look at every single potential option he has at the deadline. Jazz, not for nothing. Jazz is right back to playing third, athletically, strong arm, fast twitch athlete. He's good over there. So they might be looking for a second baseman. I know Yankee fans have floated out the idea of bringing IKF back. No more second tours. Let's not do that again. And Eugenio Suarez potentially, as the Diamondbacks are completely cooled off and now Corbin Burns is out, maybe that's an option, but I don't know. I just think it's like it's just, man, DJ is gonna get the run for this month and July so that they can get a return on that $15 million. They are going to keep putting him out there. He can't play third. He can barely cover second enough. And you hope he hits at the bottom of the lineup. But in my opinion, I think Cashman is going to look for the best option at second base and third base. And he's not going to get fleeced. He's not giving up George Lombard Jr. for anybody. So whatever the best option he can add to this team, a right-handed bat at second base or third base, that's what I would expect. Thanks for the call, Max. And then Jazz can go back to second if it's a third baseman, or Jazz can continue to develop and work and practice at third base, and you put a second baseman there and you put DJ on the bench, or you just send DJ. I don't know. They're not going to DFA DJ. A lot of people were talking about it. I think my guy Ryan Garcia from Fireside Yankees was talking about, why is DJ back in there at second base when Jazz started the season? And well, they never addressed third base in the offseason. Oswaldo Cabrera was getting a lot of run. He gets hurt. He's out of the equation. Peraza, you can't play there every single day. Honestly, who would you rather up at the plate, Peraza or DJ? It's kind of a push. Peraza is younger. You kind of can get some pop out of him, but he's giving you nada. You know, DJ at least looks somewhat better this year. He's healthy this year. So it's DJ. He's a veteran. His teammates love him. He's been here for 6 years, and he's going to get run at second base. He's your everyday second baseman. And then Jazz is going to play third base for now until they can make a move at the deadline to add a right-handed bat at one of those positions. That's what I think. You know, that's what I expect. 888-808-1019. I don't know. I'm not really worried about that either. I'm not really worried about DJ. Like DJ is what he is. He's hitting 231. He drove in a run yesterday. Jazz also is what he is. He's going to strike out a ton. I'm reminded that, like, I looked at his average. I'm like, damn, 188. I'm reminded that, you know, his average, he was struggling a little bit before he got hurt. People were kind of turning on him. He's going to give you some homers. He's going to give you a ton of aura farming. He's going to give you a ton of swag champ. He's going to have the one-piece cleats on. He's going to do every single move that he can think of. Well, you know, not that he can think of, but he's going to give you every single move around the base paths that he's rehearsed. And he's going to give you pretty good defense at third base. Watching him play third base, he's athletic. He's got a strong arm. He's got instincts. I think they were talking about how, you know, his timing, how he knows, you know, the runners, who's fast, who's not fast, how quick his internal clock is to get rid of the ball. Here's something interesting as we get back to the phone. You know, Brian Hope put a video out of Paul Goldschmidt at second base fielding ground balls. And, of course, Yankees Twitter is like, what? Is this a possibility? Put Goldie at second. That opens up first base for Ben Rice. And then that opens up DH for Giancarlo Stanton to come back. And shout out to Hoke. I got to see if I can get Hoke on maybe next week. Hoke put out a tweet saying, Aaron Boone says he doesn't know what will come next for Giancarlo Stanton. Today in Tampa, Stanton went through a workout but did not take live at bats. Boone said Stanton could be returning to New York awaiting next steps. Stanton loves to kill the Red Sox. He going to be back for the Red Sox series this weekend? Man, run it. Why not? Tom is in Pearl River on the Fan. What's up, Tom?
Keith, what's going on? Keith, real quick, I just want to shout out to the screener. I don't know his name, but he's
Rami Levy, the future of the Fan. He'll never say that, but he's behind the scenes grinding. He's a smart guy. He's got a great voice, and he's a glue guy here. I've seen this guy produce every type of show. I've seen him do digital stuff. I've seen him work here for endless hours, go home, come right back. That's Rami Levy.
awesome, man. Your words you got here. So I was just at the stadium with my fiance, and it was so disappointing. You know, just like from the first inning, it seemed like, I understand Clark Schmidt had a rough first inning, but I still kind of had hope that he would bounce back, and he did. But like just some of the at-bats, I mean, and I used my real app to kind of track the pitcher. I forget his name on Cleveland, but he was dealing, and like he was mixing his pitches early.
Luis L. Ortiz, he had everything going.
And I looked it up. He started the game with like 4 years. Like just surprised. I figured, you know, his ERA was in the 2. But the reason why I'm pulling Keith, I'm a little bit concerned with the Yankees offense. I do understand that Stanton is coming back, so it certainly is going to provide some numbers, especially in the home run category. But I almost feel like that guy like Grisham, Paul Goldschmidt, maybe even a little bit Ben Rice, Jazz with the power numbers, like they certainly peaked pretty early on, and I just don't know how sustainable that is. That's about 40, 50% of the lineup right there. And even Judge, you can throw him in there. Like he's not going to be batting 400 the entire year. I'm just wondering, like, do you see that as well, or is it maybe just we're not as bad as we're playing, the last 8 years? So
I just think it's one night. I don't think anybody's peaked yet in June. We're coming off a West Coast trip. We don't have to do that again. I don't think any of these guys are. It's just one game. Thanks for the call, Tom. I'm not reading too much into this. This is one of the better offenses in baseball. They have the MVP potential Triple Crown winner. Give credit where credit. We cannot do that. Even with the Pacers, some of y'all could not give the Pacers credit for beating the Knicks still. Like, give credit where credit is due. These guys are rich too. These guys drive nice cars too. These guys had to grind to get to where they are too. They just live in Ohio. They just play in Progressive Field. They just had to get rid of the Indians and Chief Wahoo and call themselves the Guardians. They have good players. Stephen Kwan is nice, bro. That dude leading off, he's one of the best leadoff hitters, if not the best leadoff hitter in the game. I mean, well, Tani's a leadoff hitter, but like for his style, you know what I'm saying? He's hard to get out. Great at bats. I remember when he burst on the scene, he had something like 23 or 24 straight up. Like he didn't get out like to start his career. And I think he came out of Oregon with the Oregon Beavers. He's a great young player. Give credit where credit is due. Jose Ramirez, one of the best in the game, quietly, yo. And this pitcher, this guy was throwing four-seam fastball, changeup, slider, sinker. He had them off balance all night. They were guessing. He had them frozen. Bro, when he struck out Judge, he threw Judge a pitch that I'm like, bro, he struck out Judge looking. He threw Judge an 87-mile-an-hour slider for called strike 3 that Judge just didn't do anything with. And the catcher dropped the ball. And I'm like, this is the best hitter in the world. He had Judge guessing off balance, not knowing what to do. I'm like, 87-mile-an-hour slider, middle. Judge should have put that in the back of the left field bleachers. So I give credit where credit is due. I'm watching the game. I'm like, this guy's on one. This guy, I'm not familiar with. You know, the last call was talking about his ERA. It doesn't matter. I don't know how many guys I've seen come into Yankee Stadium, and they know bright lights, big city. I'm about to be the big shot tonight. He was a player of the game. He had a plan. Let's go look. His last outing against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. He only gave up 1 run, 7 hits, 6 innings, struck out 5. So maybe he's rolling. Maybe he's finding it. Maybe he's getting into his groove. And, you know, when you're facing the Yankees, you know you better pack your lunch. You got to face Judge. You got to face Goldie. You got to face Ben Rice. You got to face Bellinger. You got to face all of these dudes. And he was ready for it tonight. And he had the early run support. So, I don't know. Simple as that. You might win some, but you just lost 1. And not for nothing, as great as we think the Yankees are, and we talk about the Yankees cruising through the American League and how this is going to be a cakewalk again, and we have no respect for the Central, respect the Guardians. They've beaten us 3 out of 5. If this was a 5-game series so far, they advance. 888-808-1019. Tyler's in Jersey on the Fan. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, Keith. What's going on, man?
Watching the Mets. Talking the talk, just not going to fall into like, you know, is this lineup peaking or are these guys about to slump or like, what? No, we're not talking. Maybe they need the torpedo bats. Oh, we're not talking about the torpedo bats anymore.
Oh, man. Free soda, dog. Nah, man. I love what you do, man. I love what you do. Just call, man. The other call I was just listening to, he brought something up about like big sins and everything. I mean, I don't mind him like just glossing over like the other teams. It's just like, for me, like, it just seems like he does like he's having a tough time like painting a picture like over the radio. It's like you don't know what's going on. Like you're like, is the ball still in the air? Like where is it? Like I mean, like you can kind of just tell he's like from the TV side, and it's just kind of irking. Like I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either because I try to watch the game as much as possible. I do listen to.
Sorry, like when I'm hopping in my car, I'm like going from place to place. I grew up on the radio, like John Sterling, Stills and Wallman, and I even like we were just growing up, just listening to the game and just like letting like the sounds of the game. So you don't even know what's going on like when Dave's like calling the game sometimes.
I'll say this, and thanks for the call, Tyler. It's still early in the season, and yes, Dave did TV, but him and Susan are still figuring things out. Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, there's still an adjustment period. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to take up for anybody or make it up, like, because I don't listen consistently. There's going to probably be more callers now that can weigh in and say, no, I've been listening to every game this season, and this is what it sounds like to me. I feel like when I do listen, there's a lot of conversation. I think there's more conversation between, I mean, they interviewed Rick Pitino for an inning tonight, but I feel like there's more conversation about baseball and some other things to fill the airtime between Dave and Susan, who have a world of knowledge, and like both of them in their careers, what they've actually experienced and what they know is crazy if you actually sit and listen to them. But I also know that some of you are so accustomed to John Sterling, and me as well. We all love John. And John is one of one. And John was able to paint a word picture of the game in front of, I don't know, man. I'm not so quick to criticize anybody because I know it's not easy to do. I sat in for Susan Waldman for 2 games. I think I was terrible. A lot of people tried to act like I was good at it. I think I was terrible. I think I'd be better if I got another shot at it. It's not easy, man. It's not easy to sit there and realize how many people are listening to you to tell them everything that you see and everything that's going on. And I think they're doing a good job. I can't criticize one because I don't have enough time listening to really give you a fair assessment. And then also I'm on the team and I love Susan and I got a ton of respect for Dave. Like they got my stamp of approval. I think they're pros. And I think a lot of you are just used to what you got for 20 years of John and Susan. And it's different. You know, it's different. I know there was a lot of people that were used to what they got from Steve Summers. And then when I came on, I definitely was trash. I know, because I used to go home and listen to the podcast back. And I told Spike, I'm like, I'm terrible, bro. There were some things I said on the air. I don't even know why I said that. I was lost. And he's like, yo, stop listening to yourself. And then I started to hang them and bang them. It's just a transition, man. Now some of y'all rock with me, right? Now I've got my own listeners, my own style. You know, everybody is themselves. So I would say just, you know, don't listen thinking that you're going to get John Sterling, and also let people be who they are. And if you don't like their style, like you got to then watch Amazon Prime or like, I don't know. I'm watching the Mets game. I don't need anybody. There's no sound in here. I'm watching the Mets game. I know what's going on right now. Griffin Canning, the ace of Jeremy Hefner's pitching lab, doing it to the Dodgers. Bottom 4 here, 2 outs, runner on. Andy Pajes steps up to the plate. Griffin Canning, I could do it. Griffin Canning with 62 pitches. And you know, like, what do you want? And then, like, that's the thing too. You can't please everybody. They can't please everybody. My boy Gary's talking about, he's too complimentary of the other teams. He's complimenting good baseball players.
That's one of the best things about New York broadcasters, not homers.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They do their homework. Like Dave and Susan, they know about all of these players, and they talk to these players. And like Dave is bringing you a perspective from being in the AL West with the Mariners for years.
In particular, they were raving about Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, but like I was about to say, that's merited though. That's fine.
Should get more love.
Like you don't hear about him anywhere else. And then when you see him come to your ballpark and play, it's like, damn, this guy's really good. You heard me just now. I'm like, I don't know why he signed that contract. He must really like it in Ohio. Like,
he loves it there because he is the most underpaid guy in the league.
You know what it is too? Not everybody wants the pomp and circumstance. Not everybody wants to be out there. You know, as I said, I'm going to add different stories and things in here to fill the airtime. Judge was just talking about how when he travels, when he's on the road, he can't leave the hotel room. He's a prisoner in the hotel, a big 6'7" prisoner in his hotel room. Now, I'm sure he's got the nice suite. I'm sure he's got plenty of leg room, but like, I mean, that's a lot of time to stay in the room, essentially hiding, because if Aaron Judge steps out in any of these cities, he gets mobbed where people want to talk to him and take pictures of him and with him. Jose Ramirez is like 5'8", 5'9". In Ohio, he's good. They're not checking for him in Ohio. He can live whatever kind of life he wants out there and then go mash baseballs. So to each his own. 888-808-1019. I'm struggling here with the calls because I know you guys want to get back into the Knicks, and I know you guys want to talk about the Knicks, and I'm going to talk about Tibbs, and I'm going to talk about Karl Anthony Towns and how hard on him you guys were. And I was telling you guys, like, yo, this man was hurt. Let me take another Yankee call, then we'll break, and then we can get into a little bit more of the Knicks. But I got to give my Yankee fans some conversation. I have Yankee fans in the chat as I'm streaming live. They want to hear about the Yankees. Like, there are some people that are just baseball fans. You feel me? Like, there are some people that are just Yankee fans. They're not Knicks fans. there are some Nets fans listening. And I'm like, enough already. They lost, bro. How long are we going to do this? And I told you guys when I was on Sunday, oh, if you think we're going to just stop talking about the Knicks, they just got somewhere that they haven't gotten in 25 years. If they were bums, we would have been done talking about them if they didn't make the playoffs. But now, like, there are new things to talk about in the days since they've been eliminated that are headlines. You know, we'll get to it. Let me take another call. We'll break and we'll come back. Roscoe, Kareem, we'll get to the Knicks conversation. But right now, Joe is in New Haven, Connecticut on the Fan. Go for it, Joe.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Hey, Carlos Rodon, man, that guy is really come on.
Amazing.
I'm tired of hearing the fucking hate for it. Oh, my bad.
See if he's still there. Dumped him. Hold on. I'm trying to get you back. Just got to clean it up. Again, reminder, this is a children's program. I know it's only 11:30, but the kids stay up and they listen to KM to AM. All good. Yeah, you know what? And there's a few things with Rodon. He was hurt his first year. I think he had a big adjustment to what I'm talking about. You know, the pressure of New York City, all the pomp and circumstance of being a Yankee. It's different than it is in even, you know, the Giants and the White Sox where he was. But the biggest thing for me, I used to say, like, this guy can't overcome his shoelaces coming untied. Like, now he's not getting unraveled. Now he's not getting rattled. Now he's like, okay, if he's got a no-no going or he's got a scoreless streak going and it breaks, whatever, he's back to work. And the biggest thing for Rodon, in a year where we lose Garrett Cole and you absolutely need him to step up, he is pitching. He used to just be fastball, slider. He is mixing his pitches now. He's got a changeup now. He can pitch and keep guys off balance, as we're talking about Luis L. Ortiz tonight and all the different pitches he was throwing. I think Rodon has evolved and grown up as a pitcher, and you're really starting to see his full arsenal, and he's commanding it, and that's making him confident. And what a great time for him to show himself. What a return on investment we're getting from Rodon.
Keith, I totally agree. And the only 2 games that he had was when he pitched in that like 35-degree weather with short sleeves, and he was out there balling too.
And when he faced his former team, and it was Jung-Ho Lee took him deep twice, like he gave up those homers, but then Boone gave him the confidence, saying like he's right there. If he's throwing the ball like that, he's going to lock in, and he's been locked.
You know, and that was like the only 2 times, and like, other than that, he's been a stud.
Perfect timing. With Cole going down, a lot of people are looking at it and saying, what version of Carlos Rodon are you going to get? And we're getting the best version of him.
I mean, as many of the Yankee fans last year, like, he played really well last year too. I'm excited for the way this thing's going to go down this year.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Rodon. I mean, we'll get to the postseason when we get there. There's still some question marks around him in the big game. I think he learned some tough lessons in the postseason last year, but I think he'll be ready for it this year.
He looks like a totally different man this year. I mean, maybe it's the beard.
There it is. I was about to say, he physically looks like himself. And I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, it's obvious what the change is. They let him grow his beard back. He looks in the mirror every day, and he feels like himself.
Chief, that's crazy stuff, man. Just a little mix like that. I mean, makes people feel comfortable, and
it's confidence. It's confidence. And shout out to Devin Williams. Shout out to Devin Williams for when he was the poster boy for what happened to him. They zapped his aura. What happened to Devin Williams? We've never seen him like this. Hal and Cashman asked him, and he said, it's not my preference. Probably said it real lightly and quietly too, that like, it's not my preference. I'd rather have a beard. And then they finally said after 49 years, hey, this isn't a hill worth dying on. Let these guys have beards, because if it stops us from signing the Airbender or anyone else in the future, it's not worth it. Thanks for the call, Joe. No problem. 888-808-1019. And no problem. And thank you. Keith McPherson on the Fan, KM to AM going to 2 a.m. We're going to talk about the Knicks. I want to play some audio. It's just weird, man. When someone gets fired, the reactions and all, like, you get the full gamut of things. Like, we have heard every single thing about this firing, but ultimately where I'm at is we will not know what the deal is until they hire a new coach, and then we see how this team plays and responds to this new coach and where they go. But I just think they added a variable to this whole thing, and there's so much unknown in sports. I would have just played it safe, but hey, at the same time, no risk it, no biscuit. They're taking a risk, and they're hoping that they risk it and can punch their ticket to the finals with whoever it may be next year. And I do expect Karl Anthony Towns to be back and Mikal Bridges to be back. And we'll talk about people saying this was a player-driven thing. And yeah, we'll get into that a little bit as well. But still taking your calls on the Yankees. They lost. Rubber match tomorrow. Max Fried. That's going to be the show. That's going to be the one to talk about. How do they respond? Do they lose back-to-back series? Do they lose one in Ohio, one in New York to the Guardians, who they beat in the ALCS last year? That's not a good thing. And does Max Fried bounce back after giving it up in Dodger Stadium? This is high stakes as well. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Dial the number. We'll be right back. Switch at 12. So this next break, we'll go to 11:54. Okay. I'm going to send you some audio. Or it might be in the system. Rick Carlisle talking about how he thought it was AI. He thought it was fake when he saw the Tibbs thing. I'll email you some of the sounds I want to play. Yo, we're rolling. Taking calls, talking sports. That's what we get paid to do here. Let me tap in with you guys quickly. Live bet. Oh, yeah, it went to OT. Okay, still 3-3 in overtime, but got eyes on that now. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, baseball is going to give you some really frustrating nights every once in a while. I'll tell y'all a story about me and Target today. Where T? Okay. Nimmo looked like a little leaguer. Yeah, I don't know. That ball was tough. Got to let Williams figure it out. He got paid too much money for them. Yeah, he is. He has to figure it out on the fly. He's got no choice. Soto has a 232 batting average now. He's up to bat right now. Here we are, top five. If you're watching the Mets, top five, Soto at the plate against Tony Gonsolin. 2 outs, no one on. Did you speak about Tom Thibodeau yet? Here it comes. Actually, as a matter of fact, let me send some audio to to Rami. Compose Rami Tibbs audio. Mike Malone on Tibbs. Mike Malone. Okay. Got those 2 pieces of audio. There was one more. Adam Silver was tweaking. He said, I got to pull up Adam Silver talking about, he said one of the dumbest things I heard him saying in recent time, bro, talking about the small market matchup. He said if we were going into a Super Bowl and it was Packers Steelers, you guys would celebrate that. I'm like, bro, clearly you don't watch football. Adam Silver. Okay, you got me. I sent you an email with Mike Malone from during the season talking about Tibbs and coaching offense and how elite the Knicks offense is and trying to put respect on him. I sent you also audio of Rick Carlisle talking about how he thought it was fake AI when the alert came out. And then also Adam Silver today off of Bean. He had to be on at least a couple edibles talking about if we were going into the Super Bowl and it was Packers versus Steelers, you would celebrate it. He picked the wrong two small market franchises to talk about. I think it's hilarious. All right. He doesn't watch football. And like I don't know. You like you and me are all sport guys. Like I rock with people that watch all sports because you would never say anything like that. It's like some of these guys that work in like sports, like they get tunnel vision. Like baseball guys are like that as well. It's like they're just baseball. They don't understand the NBA at all. And it's like Adam Silver. I'm like, if you were gonna say that, you should have said something like, he should have said something like the Arizona Cardinals versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I would still watch that Super Bowl, but like that would have been better. Two bum-ass franchises with nothing versus the Steelers and the Packers. They would have had to have knocked off Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. They would have had to knock off Saquon and the Eagles. Like, yeah, we're going to have that conversation before we get to 12. Oh, I wanted to hit the chat before I get back. Josh from the Bronx. Shout out. Yeah, we got way too spoiled with Rivera, but that was mad long ago. I quote tweeted it because I'm like, I could tell that was like, I'm like, either you didn't think about this at all or you don't watch the NFL at all. Oh, I know it too. Okay, quickly here so we can move on from this beat. Whenever I hear this is Destiny's Child from like the early 2000s. Ladies, leave your man at home because the club is jumping. Like, that's not the vibe I'm trying to set around here. You feel me? Keith McPherson on the fan. I'll go ahead and I'll do what y'all want to do and talk about the Knicks. I've got plenty of notes on the Knicks. Let's start off and go back. Mike Malone was fired by the Denver Nuggets during the season when the Knicks beat the Denver Nuggets in Denver and in New York. MVP and finals MVP and champion Nikola Jokic was the first one to say it with his chest. Did he know they'd be in the final four teams? Maybe. He said this team is a top 5 contender. The Denver Nuggets were putting respect on the New York Knicks all season. Let's hear from Mike Malone from Queens, who a lot of you have thrown out there to be the next coach of the New York Knicks. And I don't think he's the guy, but here's what he had to say during the season just to refresh your memory.
Typical haters out there who say he doesn't coach offense, just to really appreciate their team because offensively they're elite. I mean, I think in almost every offensive category, they're top 5. Field goal, 3-point, free throw, offensive efficiency. This team has a lot of weapons. They're very efficient in everything they do. Obviously, it starts with Jalen Brunson, one of the best point guards in the league. And then, we know Karl Anthony Towns very well from all the battles that we've had with him in Minnesota. And he's one of the tougher covers in the NBA. I mean, the guy had 50 points in an all-star game. He's won the 3-point contest. And he can score anywhere on the court. And then you surround them with guys like OG Anunoby, who is, tough, physical, shoots it, cuts, finishes, and is a great defender. Josh Hart, a glue guy. And Bridges, who obviously was a big acquisition for them this offseason. So very good team, very well coached. They embarrassed us in the Garden last year, from the get-go. That was an ass kicking from Jump Street. and we'll have to be ready to go.
So, I mean, Mike Malone is a guy that's considered a defensive-minded coach, and he just sang a ton of praise on this team. They're not breaking this team up. They're going to add to this team, and there's no beef amongst his team either, as you can see the videos. And anybody that like is making a big deal about the Knicks going out and partying in New York, in Chelsea, where they were at the Floor Room or something like that, there's always these like bars and clubs that I never heard of that these guys have access to. That's why, like, you've never heard of it because they have the entire Knicks in there. I think I saw Latrell Sprewell was in there with them as well. Like, that's why you never heard of it. You can't get in.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, as a Knicks fan, I have zero issue with this. They were just grinding. They probably didn't, they were playing every other day for the last almost 2 months of intense basketball, practice on the off days, media sessions. They didn't get a day off essentially for the last 2 months of playing intense playoff basketball. I have no problem with them going to celebrate a successful season for them. You know, we would have liked it for it to go further, but a relatively successful season, the most successful season the team has seen in 30 years. Now, did they know? Did they look like a group of people that knew that their coach was about to get fired? Probably not.
I don't think they knew that. I think they had their exit meetings, but I don't think they knew that Tibbs was going to go.
Just like Brunson said after the game, he's the man for the job. That's what I assume they all thought.
I still think that ultimately this was a Dolan decision. I know Leon Rose had to make the decision, but I still keep coming around to Dolan. And I know people are saying, no, you know, I'm like, no, what? Like,
people who said it wasn't a Dolan decision are the people who have a relationship with Dolan.
Right. They're saving face for him. I don't have a relationship with Dolan. I'm not worried about not getting into the Garden. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Roscoe in Brooklyn on the Fan. What's up, man?
Chief, what's going on, man? Everybody's talking about some dude from Cleveland and Malone. Man, I want Jeff Van Gundy back, and then he could bring his brother Stan, and let's get this. Let's make it happen. Nobody has mentioned Jeff Van Gundy, who has been sitting with the Clippers, doing absolutely a great job.
They've mentioned him. They've mentioned him all day on WFN. Yesterday, I believe.
Not the way a true Knicks fan is going to mention him. Because everybody wants this. You mentioned a name earlier. What was his name? The guy from Cleveland, I think you guys mentioned.
Oh, did I talk about Ott yet? Oh, Johnny Bryant, I spoke on. You're a Knicks fan. You don't know who Johnny Bryant is?
I was in the conference finals right now. With Johnny Bryant in anywhere, he was in the playoffs, right?
The Cleveland Cavaliers were the #1 seed in the East.
And they got smoked. And smoke. So I don't want that. We were in the conference final, game 6. Bring my man Gundy back. Okay, he's been doing a great job with the Clippers. Bring his brother. Let's get this really. Listen, we can't.
His brother was hating with Reggie Miller on y'all on the broadcast. Roscoe, they're not gonna bring Jeff Van Gundy back. No more second tours. They're not trying to get the old thing back. If anything, they're trying to get younger and a completely new thing. If you wanted to keep an old coach, why wouldn't you keep the old coach you had who built this regime, who built this era of the Knicks? I don't see Jeff Van Gundy as an option either because he's got a relationship with Tom Thibodeau. So is he going to jump in his friend's vacant seat? Sorry, Tommy. No. Now, Jordan Ott, I completely forgot all about Jordan Ott. Jordan Ott, if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, you know who Jordan Ott is because Jordan Ott would get the interviews on the Yes Network, like coming out of halftime while the head coach was still talking to the team, whether it was Kenny Atkinson or whether it was Steve Nash or, you know what I'm saying? Like Jordan Ott was an assistant. He was a Nets assistant for years from 2016 to 2022. He just got hired in Phoenix. And I would assume that Johnny Bryant is next. That's what happens in all sports. If a team has a successful year, they start to poach people off the staff of the successful team. Kenny Atkinson, being a smart coach, had a smart staff, and they want to know what's in the recipe. They want to know, you know, what's the secret formula, what's in the secret sauce that y'all had over there. So, I mean, congrats to Jordan Ott, who he's like a Lawrence Frank looking type of cat. Now, and Nets fans know what I'm talking about because if you watch the Nets game, like I said, they always would give him the little interview, like between quarters or after the half when like the guys were coming out of the locker room or doing warmups. 888-808-1019. Let's go to another coach, the coach that just defeated the Pacers, a coach that I gave a ton of credit to the entire time, because I remember him crying last year about being a small market and not getting the calls. And then he got the luck of attrition and injuries and just being able to beat the Knicks because they were hurt. This year, the Knicks were healthy, and he just was able to beat them, out coaching them, scheming them, and finding a way. Let's hear what Rick Carlisle had to say when he heard the news about the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau yesterday.
And then what happened yesterday, and when I first saw it, it came over one of the, I thought it was one of those fake AI things, that no way, it's no way possible. And I know how the players feel about him too. And so not much else to say. I mean, teams and ownership can make these decisions unilaterally, and it's their right to do that. And so the Tom will certainly be fine. I don't think he's going to have
whatever. We're going to switch.
Any problem finding his next job. Is just going to depend on when he's ready to jump back in again. But I have great respect for Tibbs. I go back with him a very long way, and so I was surprised.
All these coaches go back a very long way. I heard actually today Susan on the broadcast talking about how she covered the Knicks in 1987 when Pitino was there coaching, and how they shot threes, and Rick Carlisle was on the team. And I'm like, wait, what? It's funny, right? He says he thought it was AI. He thought it was fake news. We live in this time on Twitter where you don't know what to believe. Rami just said in my ear, he's like, Sento had it. I'm like, I bet they had it. And you don't know who to believe or what to believe now on Twitter. It used to be verified badges for verified people, credible sources. Now it's just a cesspool. So you think it's ball sack sports when it comes across your timeline. You got to double and triple check that it's actually Shams Charania and not Shams Charana Ninini. 888-808-1019.
Movie. That's what it's all about, like how misinformation and all these things, and it ends up causing wars across the world. I was
about to say, is it out right now, or is there like a trailer? That's a great movie, because like we are in the time of misinformation, artificial intelligence, fake news. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary because a lot of people are just plumb dumb, and whatever they see on the internet, they take it as gospel truth. I know, I read it on Facebook. I hate that. I hate when, like, not to throw my mom under the bus or like my father-in-law. I saw this on Facebook, and it's Facebook. If anything, if you saw it on Facebook, you should lead with it's fake. It's nonsense. And now even Facebook and Twitter, they put stamps on it. What's the stamp on Twitter when they'll put a whole thing on there like, nah, this is not true. This is fake. It's like, community notes for the readers to be like, no, this is not true. Well, no, it is true that the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau.
No, it got enough people though.
Yeah, it got enough people because they can see the chatter and how many people believe it, and that's kind of scary because people start taking that stuff off the internet and having conversations with people and making decisions, and doing things in the real world off of some nonsense that they read online.
That's exactly what the movie was. People were acting on things that they were reading online that were fake.
That's how you can control the masses. These phones and social media, you can just send out an alert. I don't know. It's scary. Anyway, 888-808-1019. Kareem is in. Kareem is in the Bronx on the Fan. What's up, Kareem?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you guys doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I gotta say this. I think I've got the perfect next coach.
Okay.
I think Mark Jackson.
Who is it?
Mark Jackson.
Okay, Mark Jackson. Why?
One, he built a modern offensive team, baseline, that also plays defense, with defined roles on his guys coming in, like the deadline stuff they did. So that started on the Mark Jackson. Remember when David he was with them? He really, really, I think he's a guy for that. He's a guy can handle New York. He grew up here. He played here. I think he fits the type of team for him.
He's been out of the league for 8 years,
He's been doing what?
Yeah, he's been doing TV. I don't think that they fired Tom Thibodeau to bring in a Mark Jackson from TV. I don't think they're going for the big name, splashy name. Thanks for the call, Kareem. I don't think that's why I keep saying Johnny Bryant. And all of the splashy names are out. Jay Wright is out. Danny Hurley is out. Ime Udoka is out. Jason Kidd is out. Like all of these big names that people have thrown out there, they put microphones in front of them, and they're all like, "No, I'm good. I'm straight." And like, this is not an appealing seat right now. This is a pressure-filled, like, okay. And like Rami's a Knicks fan. I saw him shake his head. Of course, it's New York. It is the New York Knicks. They have 2 all-star starters. They're going to be good no matter who coaches them. But I say it's not an attractive seat. It's not something because the pressure is
this year, which means for
you gotta, yeah. And that it's hard to do. It is hard to, you're in your first year, come in and say, oh yeah, we're going to the finals. You need a lot of stuff to go right. Ben is in Brooklyn on the Fan. What's up, Ben?
Yo, Keith.
Yo.
Your show.
Thanks. I am.
Since birth. So basically, I've lived through more drama than a Bravo marathon. I've been mulling over this Tibbs firing, and I've got a theory. It's not about basketball. It's about Dolan. Hear me out. Dolan saw Tibbs getting all the credit. Tibbs had the team winning, the Garden rocking, and suddenly Dolan's just the rich guy in the luxury box. I think that man got jealous, paranoid, thought Tibbs was getting too powerful, and you know Dolan hates anyone else being the face of success. So Dolan's ego is like a Wi-Fi signal. Strong when no one's around, but the moment someone else shines, it drops. So he saw Tibbs getting all the love and thought, wait, I'm the star here. So he pulls the plug before Tibbs gets Phil Jackson level influence. Now we're probably going to hire some yes man coach who will smile for the cameras and thank Dolan for the privilege of managing Jalen Brunson's ice pack. You know, it's classic Dolan. Can't help himself.
Thanks for the call, Ben, and we're up against it here. I just disagree completely. I think maybe this is the most success in the last 2.5 decades, the last 25 years that the Knicks have had. And I think Dolan started to, because I know we were starting to plan on the finals. Media was starting to plan on the finals. He started to plan on hosting the NBA finals and got that smell under his nose of, wow, we're doing it. We're about to go to championship. I also think he got too much information and opinions from people. And I think he listened. And in the feelings of this was the year we could have did it. We were supposed to beat the Pacers. We had home court advantage. We blew game 1 like that. Somebody had to take the fall. And so I think the words about Tom Thibodeau can never get you over the hump. He can never win a championship. I think he fell into that. I don't think Dolan has an ego as far as, because you know what? Tom Thibodeau's seat was hot the entire year. He wasn't reaching Phil Jackson levels. Like that happens when a coach wins multiple championships. Dolan wasn't looking at this guy like that. He was looking at this guy like, this is the end of the road, buddy. We got to get to the championship. Like that's what I said. They were dreaming. They went from this team getting bounced in the second round to no, this team should have won the NBA finals. And when they didn't, somebody had to take the fall for it. And that happened to be Tom Thibodeau. 888-808-1019. We got a break here. I'll say good morning on the other side. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Cam to AM returns right after this. I gotta switch studios. That's why I'm even over here. Bear with me. Let me see where we are in the chat. You were nervous in the beginning, then you got better. Yeah, you know how nerve-wracking it is to be in Puerto Rico with your wife and get the call that they are going to drop a press release announcing that you're replacing Steve Summers and taking over as the nighttime host on WFAN, like that's a lot to process. And then when you actually get in here, these lights are bright, this mic is hot, and it's just you. You know, I equate it to two things. Stand-up comedy and boxing. Because those are, you know, two entertainment platforms where you're alone. Stand-up comedy, it's you and the audience. Same thing with being a solo radio host. It's you and the audience. You just can't see them. You can hear some phone calls. I can read what you guys are saying in the chat. But if you bomb, if you suck, like so many people think they could do this. Yeah, right. So many people, like that's when people are like, "You suck, you're trash." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then boxing, it takes years of prep. It takes years of training to step in that ring and have the guts to fight, or MMA. I equate it to that. Not obviously as serious, but like I equate it to that. Like, look at this, bro. You come in and you got to work. It's lights, camera, action. You come in here, you see that clock up there? That clock is running, and I'll show you the on-air sign. Like, you better be ready. You better know what you're talking about. You better be quick-witted. You better be smart about it. You better have things to say. You better be on your toes, because you're being critiqued and ridiculed and listened to the entire time. All right, I'll see you over there. See that light right there? On air. See that light right there? On air. When that shit go on, you better be ready. Right there. When that switch is flipped, everybody can hear you. When that light goes on, everybody in the greatest city in the world can hear your voice and your thoughts and your show. And this radio station streams on an app that reaches the entire country. So, yeah, hell yeah. In the beginning, I was nervous. I won't say I had imposter syndrome, but like I dreamed of being on the radio. I went to school for radio. So when I first started in the beginning, it was like, yo, this is a lot. I didn't sleep those first few nights. I had this keychain, this dusty ass keychain. If you look at this keychain, I always tell people, I'm like, this keychain I got when Mark Malusis came to the MLB fan cave in 2014. And just meeting somebody that was on the radio, that like their job was a radio host, it made it real for me in a sense. Like, damn, did I leave my book bag over there? I did. Did I leave my headphones over there? It's freaking Rami. Gotta figure out how to just switch after the game, bro. It's like switching in between. It's like moving a whole setup. It is what it is. Who am I to judge? I don't know how to do anything on that side. I was never taught. Nobody. I didn't come in here, and no one ever showed me. No one even thought to be like, hey, man, you got to learn how to produce. Might need you to pinch hit one day. I would have, too. In college, you had to run the board for yourself. All right, here we go. Right back at it.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Mets continue to lead the Dodgers 3-0, bottom of the sixth inning in LA. All 3 runs coming in the first for the Mets. Juan Soto with an RBI ground out. Pete Alonso with a 2-run jack, his 13th home of the season. And Griffin Canning has made it stand up thus far. Just 3 hits, 1 walk. He has struck out 6 through the first 5 innings. Again, the Mets in front of the Dodgers 3-0, bottom 6 in LA. Before the game, also announced Mark Vientos, low-grade hamstring injury. He'll get treatment for the next 10 to 14 days before he resumes baseball activities. Yankees mustered just 5 hits, silenced by the Guardians 4-0. Clark Schmidt had 3 runs over 5 2/3. He settled down after a 3-run first, but Bomber offense was stuck in neutral. Luis Ortiz struck out 7 over 5 2/3 innings, a 3-hit ball. Leon Draisaitl with the game winner in overtime is second in the game. Edmonton outlasts the Panthers 4-3 to take Game 1 Stanley Cup Finals. And the Suns reportedly going with Cavs assistant Jordan Ott as their next head coach. This is interesting for the Knicks, as Johnny Bryant was said to be a finalist for that job. Former Knicks assistant could be someone the Knicks target as the replacement for Tom Thibodeau. 74 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Yo, are you able? Oh, you're on the phone. Talking to him. He's getting a call in right now. He's going to see if you can get the Adam Silver clip up. Take your time. I'll bring us in. A good morning. Good morning. Your boy KM on the Fan in New York. I'm going to talk sports. I'm going to take your call. I'm going to give you time to talk. We're going to go back and forth. I don't have a co-host. I don't have any shtick. I don't have any games to play. I don't have any segments, really. Like, I do the big shot of the night when there's a big shot of the night, but who am I going to give that to? Luis L. Ortiz? Nah, I'm straight. Maybe I'll do a Tell Me Something Cool. How about that? I'll do a Tell Me Something Cool tonight. I got something cool to tell you about. 888-808-1019 as we get back to it on the Fan. I was talking about Tibbs. I was talking about the Knicks. You know, the hate on Karl Anthony Towns reminded me of all the hate that Julius Randle got when they were pulling down his poster. Oh, Julius Randle's a bum. He sucks. It's just part of it. They love you, then they hate you, then they love you again. And, you know, I said this, I think Sunday when I was on. I gave y'all a little Sunday sauce. We'll do it again this Sunday, 1 o'clock. Sauce it up. Hey, sauce it down. Hey. Saucing on you. But anyway, I said this Sunday about Karl Anthony Towns. I was like, y'all forgot he was hurt. Wasn't it game 4 where he like collided with his knee? He was limping around. Didn't you see him in the post game with the wrap around his finger? If some of y'all got hurt like that, you'd be bedridden. If some of y'all, you'd be at the urgent care. You know what I'm saying? But all I hear is he's soft. All I hear is he's not tough. He's a losing player. Like, and I just played Mike Malone talking about how much of a tough cover he is. He's an offensive force. And what I found was Karl Anthony Towns, right after the season ended, he had immediate procedures done on both his knee and his fingers so that he wouldn't miss any time, right? After the Knicks season ended with Saturday's Game 6 loss to the Pacers, Karl Anthony Towns had the injuries re-examined and chose to immediately have procedures so he would have the most time possible to recover before next season. I think this is a guy who got to play for the New York Knicks for 1 year, a guy who loves his mom. He always, brings his mom's name up, and he should. When he talks about his mom was a Knicks fan, he grew up in Jersey, grew up in the area playing basketball, AAU in New York and New Jersey. And he wants to be a Knicks legend. He wants to bring a championship here. You got to give this guy some more grace. And I think the next coach that comes in here, I think we've all come around on it, right? The next coach that comes in here is going to be a coach that can get the most out of Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. I think that's where we are right now. So I don't know exactly what it's going to be. Maybe it's Johnny Bryant, but everybody will tell you, Karl Anthony Towns got Tibbs fired twice. Everybody tell you, Tibbs is too much of a defensive-minded coach. oh, Tibbs couldn't get the most out of Karl Anthony Towns. So let's see what happens here. I really do think that this team, if they have the right leader, the right voice, the right strategist, I don't know, like they really need somebody that can come in here and get them right offensively. And then also Leon Rose has to add a couple more pieces so that their bench is deeper. I think they're going to be good again. I think they can win another 50 games again. And then they're going to need some luck and some help for things to really fall their way. Maybe the Pacers to fall off. I don't expect the Celtics to be there. Maybe they can just straight up beat the Cavaliers. Somebody else will emerge. I'd have thought today, like Tom Thibodeau is owed $30 million, but he's a whole coach, bro. He's a whole coach. No wife, no kids. He spends his time watching films. I made a joke the other day. I'm like, they probably fired him and he was watching film on the Pacers series. What if he decides to join a contender? What if he decides to be on the bench, somebody's assistant? What if he decides to join, I don't know, the Sixers, slide down to the Sixers, help them out, or maybe take his talents to South Beach, be with Miami, or somebody. Somebody could use the help of a Tom Thibodeau on the bench. He might come back to beat y'all. Wouldn't that be something? 888-808-1019. Bill is in Brooklyn on the Fan. What's up, Bill? Good. How are you?
I'm doing, it's the stages of like grief, depression, acceptance. It's like I'm sitting here, and to me, it has a very eerie similar feeling I had with Joe Girardi in 17, where that playoff, if you remember, we almost lose in Cleveland. We come back. Everybody's talking about, is Girardi going to last? And then we go to 7 games with the Astros, and everybody's even saying, even if we make the World Series, is Girardi coming back? And I kind of had a similar experience this playoff with Tibbs, and I feel like everybody thought Girardi wasn't the answer. And now we think, Tibbs is the answer. And look how long it took, and look how many different teams it took for the Yankees to get back to the World Series. And getting rid of Tibbs, I'm afraid is going to be the same thing, where it's not going to be just that fix of a coach to get us over the hump.
Yeah, I talked about that the other day with Boone. One, he hasn't won. And what did it take? 6 years to get like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, it took 6 years to get to where Joe Girardi got the team last and go further. The bar is set. The whole thing about this next season and seasons under this next coach is you have to win in this window. Like, these guys are in their late 20s. You have about 2 to 3 seasons to win the whole thing, or this is a complete failure.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, my biggest need is we need 3-point shooting, and we need 3-point shooting off the bench. Brunson, OG can't be the only threat we have from 3. And I think if we have a significant, like, DiVincenzo, I think would have been so key on this team. We need someone like him because we need a 3 threat.
You need a shooting guard. You need a number 2 that can shoot. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns shooting the 3 as a bonus is great, but you need a shooting guard. You need a number 2 that can be a threat from 3. And Brunson's got to be more of a distributor. And then when the matchup opens itself up for him to take over. And I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who they're going to get, but that's for Leon Rose to go get and for this coach to go coach up. And yeah, the pressure is on, man. And I guess that's how you want it, right? I guess you want there to be pressure to win a championship versus being bums, being bottom feeders.
I just don't see, like, everybody was on this maybe Mike Malone kick, but I just don't see somebody out there that's going to be the answer. Like, usually you have someone like that's going to be the answer. I don't see anybody right now that we can feel comfortable going, yeah, we want that person. Whoever they hire, we're all going to be like,
you're going to scrutinize. You're going to be worried about. People are going to hate on. And then you got to go through a whole NBA season. You got to go through a whole playoffs before you feel like that was the right decision or not. And chances are just the numbers, the odds, they're not going to get back to where they were last year. Even with Tom Thibodeau, the chances are that they weren't going to be able to, you know what I'm saying? It's too hard to do season to season, especially in this NBA right now. The parity that's in this NBA, it's tough.
And the really problem with Tibbs was he was just stuck in his ways, like Girardi. He definitely wore the same socks, the same underwear, the same thing. He would just not budge from his.
I don't know. He did adapt. He changed the starting five. He did play the bench in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, to me, that is a guy.
But it took to being down 0-2, and look at the minutes distribution. Hart still played the same amount of minutes. So, yeah, maybe Mitch started, but it all ended up being the same, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like you waited till, like, the absolute worst time, in my opinion, which showed desperation, which that to me was like, I felt he was going to be out when it's like, I'll throw my hands up and then whatever. I'm just going to play the bench. And I told my friends this. I felt like he was just going to put the bench out there and be like, see, look, I'm going to play the bench. And look what happened. They won despite of him, in my opinion. Like, I'm just going to do it to show everybody. I'll just play the bench. And it actually worked. And everybody was like, look, see, it could work. And that, to me, would be more the downfall because everybody was like, why are we doing it now and not doing it for the whole playoff series? You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Bill. You do what you have to do to win. And honestly, you would do anything to win after you're supposed to win game one and you blew it. 888-808-1019. They win game one and it's completely different. And I also have a thought that, Rick Pitino said this today. He said that Tom Thibodeau was victim of seven. Let me find it because it was a WFAN tweet that went out. And I was like, I didn't hear him. I heard him on the Yankee broadcast, but I didn't hear him with BT and Sal. I don't get up until like 10 o'clock in the morning most days. And then by the time I get going, here it is. Tibbs is a great defensive coach who was handcuffed by 7.5 basketball players. That was Rick Pitino today on BT and Sal. So I have a thought that if you saw him adapt, you saw him give in, you saw him change his ways in the Eastern Conference Finals, why wouldn't that carry into the offseason? Why wouldn't he adapt a little bit more and change his ways with a new team and in year two with this group? I guess they didn't want that. And then it goes back to Dolan. What I think with Dolan, I think Dolan got the smell of a championship in his nose in a year where they weren't supposed to be the champs. It was a dream. It was a fever dream. That's why this is a little bit of an overreaction. Because they were 0-10 against the elite teams in the regular season. Everybody had them losing to the Celtics. Every single person that talks basketball. I'm no basketball savant, basketball expert. I said Celtics in 5 because the Celtics were 4-0 against them in the regular season. What do the Celtics do that the Knicks, didn't have a counter for? The Knicks didn't defend the 3 well. The Celtics shot the 3 well. They beat the Celtics. One of the biggest upsets in NBA playoff history. I heard Big Mac talking about it last night. And when you think about it, it's one of the biggest upsets in New York sports history. Like, if you bet on them to win that series, you made a ton of money. That didn't save this guy. That didn't save Tom Thibodeau. I feel like he deserved another opportunity with this team, but this is what happens in the NBA. Taylor Jenkins got fired. Mike Malone got fired. Mike Malone at least got his ring. But, it's not safe. Carlos Mendoza spoke. I don't have the audio, but Carlos Mendoza talked about, when you're in these seats, anything can happen. Nobody is safe. And that's the harsh reality of it. If you don't win, you're liable to be let go. If you don't win the whole thing, there's only one coach that's going to win the whole thing. I just think it ran its course. And I think for Dolan, him getting the smell of the finals, the Garden starting to prepare to host the finals, and then losing to the small market Indiana Pacers that don't pay a luxury tax that beat you back-to-back years, it's like, okay, do we want to go another year with Tom Thibodeau, who did have the extension and was supposed to be here, or do we make a decision like the Raptors did with Dwayne Casey and Nick Nurse, like the Warriors did with Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr? Say, okay, you got us here, but you can't get us to the promised land. We need to make a move now and find the guy that's going to get us over the hump. And the narratives about Tom Thibodeau running his players into the ground, being old school, coaching 90s basketball, not being willing to adapt, being a defensive coach and, not playing his, I think their owner and Leon Rose's son. But to me, you can't tell me, I think it was a joint decision. And I think all decisions ultimately are joint decisions with the owner and the GM. But like Leon Rose was this man's agent. Leon Rose gave this man an extension. How do you just pull the rug from under him after all the money you made off of this run this year and the success that you had and the scenes outside of Madison Square Garden? I think the owner getting a little bit impatient, one, and then listening to everybody's opinion. You want to make the wrong decision in life, get everybody's opinion on it. I've said that so many times on The Fan, and it applies to me and all of us. If you're trying to make a career decision, ask your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, ask your best friend, ask your girl, ask somebody randomly that you think is smart. You're going to make the wrong decision. You got to make the right decision for you individually, your heart of hearts, how you feel. You're the one that's got to do it. And it's Dolan's team. It's his franchise. It's his building. He definitely had a say. And I feel like Leon Rose probably would have wanted to stay the course and tweak this team again. But heads have to roll when you disappoint the fans and the fan base. Heads also have to roll when the statement comes out and says, we are singularly focused on winning a championship. Are you dreaming? That's your singular focus? This is the Knicks. Your singular focus is being contenders, being relevant, being consistently perennial postseason participants. It's hard to win a championship. But this guy brought you back to relevance. Who is the guy? That's what we want to know next. And I don't know who that guy is, and I don't know if that guy is going to be able to come in. It's tough. New York is hard as hell to deal with for anything. Like, he's got to be able to deal with the media. He's got to be able to deal with the fans, the expectations. He's got to be able to deal with these superstar players. He's got to be able to deal with the league. And if it's Johnny Bryant, a rookie coach, I don't know. That's going to be a lot to put on a guy in his first year. It's not a soft landing spot at all. That's a like sink or swim. We're throwing you in a 50-foot deep end with 50-pound weights around your ankles. John is in Brooklyn on The Fan. What's up, John?
Brooklyn in the house. I'm pledging my allegiance to the Brooklyn Nets.
Whoa. Why?
Because I've been so disappointed for so long being a Knicks fan that, and I, you know, like one scene I saw was when Clyde hugged Brunson in the first game before they even won anything. And I can't even believe that they could cut this coach loose.
When Clyde hugged Brunson in the first game of the playoffs or the Eastern Conference? Oh, when they beat the Pistons.
I know.
I don't know. What? He can't give Brunson a hug?
He can give Brunson a hug, but they didn't win. They lost the game.
I don't know. I don't remember that moment. I would advise you to not do that, John. Thanks for the call. As a Brooklyn Nets fan, really a New Jersey Nets fan, and even knowing some people that jumped ship, people that are from Brooklyn or New Yorkers that were fed up with the Knicks and said, oh, we got a team in Brooklyn now. They're moving the Nets to BK. Oh, I'm going to go rock with them now. Those folks are kicking themselves because they couldn't get back in. They left the arena too soon. They switched sides. They were set tripping. They decided that they were going to go to the flashy new Brooklyn Nets that, yeah, made the playoffs a little bit. But now you don't have your Knick fan card. Now you gave that up. Do not pledge your allegiance to the Brooklyn Nets. They got a long way to go. I think they are headed in the right direction, but who knows? They could do something stupid in this draft. They could chase the star player again this year. They could make a stupid trade. I don't know. I would not be. The Knicks are going to be good. No matter who coaches this team, the Knicks are going to be good. I don't know if they're going to Eastern Conference Finals, but the Knicks are going to be good. They look at the team. Look at the guys that they have under contract. Look at what they just did. They're going to play another year together. They're going to be good. I think they can win another 50 games if they stay healthy under anybody. But like when you get to each round of the playoffs, it's a chess match. And like these coaches are smart as hell. They see everything. They study film. They come up with plans and schemes, and they're prepared. And if you're not a seasoned veteran. That's the upper echelon. That's a high level of competition that like you need somebody proven. I don't know where they go. I don't know where they go or what they do as far as this next coach, but I don't think that they're going the flashy name. And we're like I said, Kidd is out. Ime Udoka is out. Danny Hurley is out. Jay Wright is out. I think Mike Malone is out. Jeff Van Gundy is out. But I don't know. As we say that, nobody is out until the position is full. These are all rumors and hearsay. The right contract, the right deal can make anybody say, yeah, I'm down. I don't see why Jason Kidd would want to leave Cooper Flagg. Oh, he hasn't drafted him yet, but he's going to have him. Kyrie will be back at some point. AD is on that team. I don't know why Ime Udoka would want to leave Houston. He just started with that team. They're young. They might get KD. I don't know. Danny Hurley, he interviewed for the Lakers job like a year ago. But reports are he ended the buzz that he'll be a candidate. Like UConn, he's a legend already. He's going to continue his legacy there. Jay Wright does TV, and Jay Wright hung up his Villanova coaching. Like I don't think he's the guy. Jeff Van Gundy, friend of Tom Thibodeau, and I don't think he does a second tour. It's Johnny Bryant until another name emerges, until somebody else pops up that we're not thinking of. And like that's what it should be. They should have a whole plan. That's what it should be. They should have a whole plan of attack here with who takes over next, because the stakes are so high that you can't just do this on the fly. You know, to bring it back to like regular people stuff and like life experience, how I say, hey, if you're making a career change or a job decision and you ask your whole family and what you're going to make the wrong decision. You know, as I was coming up in New York, man, I quit 3 different jobs. Well, 2 really, but I quit 2 jobs without having a job lined up. And that's not the right thing to do. I made knee-jerk decisions, overreacted to some things not going my way and saying, I'm out. This ain't working. And ultimately, it worked out for me. Hello, Keith McPherson on the Fan, year 4. This is the longest job I've ever held. But man, I struggled in the interim. It sucked. Like jumping out of the window like that because you don't like a boss or you're not making enough money or you don't like your hours or you don't see the future at a place. Like doing that, like I did that young in this city, quitting a job just because I didn't like the way somebody talked to me, or I didn't like not getting credit for work that I did, or I didn't think my salary was like jumping out a window like that wasn't the right move. There's only so long you could collect unemployment. It's only so long you could hustle. And I drove Lyft, Uber. I sold things on Facebook Marketplace to random people. I freelanced. I did odd jobs. I worked at a restaurant. Like those days, I think about that sucked. Now, I don't think those dark days are going to happen to the Knicks with this overreaction. But what I'm saying is when you don't have a plan of attack and you do something rash and you leave the consistency of what you've been doing, you can set yourself back for a couple years before you get back, you know, maybe minor setback for a major comeback. Like this, I don't know. How is this affecting Jalen Brunson right now? How does this affect Rick Brunson right now? There were reports out today that some players, as we go through these exit meetings, there were reports out today that, and I don't know what to believe anymore in this fake news internet world, but multiple Knicks players have been unhappy with the presence of Rick Brunson, the father of Jalen Brunson, being on the coaching staff. And, you know, they're not saying what the issue is, but like anytime like there's a coach and a coach's son, there could be something there. And then I know a lot of people are going back to Dante DiVincenzo and that preseason game where he was at the line and he said something like, this is what happens when they let daddy run the team. Like Dante DiVincenzo, the big ragu, Delaware Jordan, he wanted to rock with his Villanova boys. They made a whole commercial. He never got to rock with them. He was feeling some type of way. Who wants to go to Minnesota? And he believed it was the influence of Brunson and wanting to get Karl Anthony Towns and saying, yeah, send him. We'll be all right without him. 888-808-1019. Josh is in Passaic on the Fan. Welcome back, Josh. Where you been? What you been up to? Josh is sleeping at the wheel. Come on, kid. Before we go to break, I queued you up, kid. All right, forget it. My boy, young Josh, grew up. I just said I've been on the Fan for 4 years. I don't know how old Josh is now. He was like 13 when he first started calling. So now he's got to be about 16, 17. I don't know. Maybe Fleegs check on the phone. He's lit up, but I'm not hearing anything. My headphones are turned up. The monitor is up. Yeah, he just dropped. He knows to call back. All right, let me take another call here before we do get to break. Update. Those make it happen Mets and paid Pete. He's on the money. He's been nothing but money. Looking good here in the top of the 8th. It's 6-0 Mets. Pete Alonso homers again and makes it 6-0. Juan Soto scored. Nimmo scored. So that's a 3-run shot. He had a 2-run. This is Pete Alonso's game. Pete Alonso has 5 out of the 6 runs scored. Was driven in 5 out of the 6 runs. What? And they're shutting him out. I was talking before about Griffin Canning, the ace of this pitching lab. It honestly makes no sense to me what they turned Griffin Canning into. I know he had a little bit of a clunker against the White Sox, whatever, underestimating your opponent. What they have turned Griffin Canning into, I remember being on the Fan when they signed him, and Mets fans scoffed at it. I forget what pitchers were still available on the free agent market, but signing Griffin Canning for $4 million or whatever it was like, what? This guy? Griffin Canning goes 6 innings, only gives up 3 hits, strikes out 7 against the almighty defending champion Dodgers. And Pete Alonso is worth every penny. Earlier in the broadcast, they said Pete Alonso was on track for 131 ribbies. That's probably up to like 135 now. He's got 14 homers on the season. He's about to walk down David Wright. David Wright was in the building. So, Pete saw David Wright in the building, and he's like, let me see. How many more homers do I need? Oh, I might. Yeah, he's 2 away from David Wright. He's like, I'm going to try and catch you tonight. In front of you, I'm trying to catch you tonight. I'm going to try and walk you down tonight. So Pete is at 240. He was at 239, 240 now, and David Wright is at 242. I've always rooted for Pete Alonso. You've never heard a bad word out of my mouth about Pete Alonso. This guy's got to be thinking, cha-ching, I'm opting out, and they're going to have to give me the contract that I want here, or somebody in Major League Baseball is going to see this and run me that money. And he's making, what, $30 million this year? Good for Pete Alonso. All right, let's break it down here. It's 12:30. 888-808-1019. I mean, the Mets are 6 outs away from taking this second game out of 4 from the Dodgers. And if you do that quick math there, that's the 4 out of 7 to own the tiebreaker against the Dodgers this year. They play great against them, especially when they go out there. And what can you say? I'm not mad at it. After watching the Dodgers, I'll tell you a quick story before we break here. After watching the Dodgers smack the Yankees Saturday, I'm in Target today, just minding my business, but I happen to be wearing my Jazz Chisholm player tee. And I'm ringing up, and the friendly cashier goes, "Oh, you're a Yankee fan?" I said, "Yeah, kind of." And he's like, "Oh, I heard about that game Saturday." I said, "Oh, yeah, don't worry about that one." He's like, "Oh, yeah, 18 runs." I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about that one. We won last night. You heard about that game last night?" "No, I didn't hear about that game." "Who are they playing?" "They're playing the Guardians." But everybody hears about the Yankees losing 18-2 on national television to the Dodgers. Nobody hears about Sunday Night Baseball. Nobody knows Ryan Yarbrough. Nobody cares about Ben Rice and DJ LeMahieu and Oswald Peraza. I can't even go to the store and buy some coffee filters because I don't sleep, and I'm always hopped up on coffee and caffeine and Mountain Dew and green tea. I can't even check out without Somebody telling me about the Dodgers beating the Yankees 18-2. I know. I didn't even watch the game. 888-808. Keith McPherson on the fan. Call us up. We'll be right back. All right, let me try and catch up on the chat. I do want to hit this. Funny bone. Let me see. Let me cue this up with Adam Silver. The Edmonton Oilers win to go up 1-0. Adam Silver. Let's play this.
We were going into a Super Bowl, and it was
Yeah, I think he's kind of off with that. I'm gonna laugh at that. Let me send this to Fleegs. Adam Silver audio link. And did I have another piece of audio from my notes that I wanted to send through? Let me double check. No. Oh, I did want to talk about Judge. All right, Fleegs, I just sent Adam Silver talking about the NBA Finals in regards to the Super Bowl and him mentioning, if it was Packers versus Steelers, we wouldn't care. Of course we wouldn't care. It would be the Sixburg Steelers going for their 7th Super Bowl versus, I'll talk about that. But when I come back, I'm going to get rid of this one Yankees call, and then I'll queue up Tell Me Something Cool. I'm going to talk about Judge and Giancarlo. And then we just probably get Knicks calls the rest of the way. And then with this Mets game ending, it'll probably be Mets calls in 1 o'clock hour. All right. See, so you guys end up getting the behind the scenes of what I'm about to do. Charles, what up? Trying to get current now from like an hour ago. No, Jets shouldn't have brought it. The Oilers win game 1. Oilers win in OT. Ohtani down looking. Sam Cassell is the next Knicks coach? Nah. From the Celtics? Boxing it's a sport and it's big money entertainment. Nah, no crown topic. I didn't see that. Lindor got pissed. He grounded out. Donnie, salute. Can someone call in and ask Keith if he thinks Leon Rose would let Dolan undermine him and he'll sit by and not quit? I think it was a conversation and decision they both made. I don't think it was undermining him. Wild Wild West. California knows how to party. But they're being shut out right now. Yankees got shut out earlier. And the Mets are shutting out the Dodgers right now. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan. This next 90 minutes less, like 75 minutes, is going to burn up. So let's get back to the phones. We started off talking about the Yankees, and I didn't really care, right? Max Fried will take the mound for the rubber match later tonight. You tip your cap to the Guardians. Luis L. Ortiz had everything going, was freezing. Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, like the two best hitters on the team. He had them guessing. And sometimes a guy just has a game plan, comes into Yankee Stadium and executes it. We've seen the Yankees turn a lot of randoms into aces. It's not the first time I've seen a guy that I wasn't that familiar with dominate the Yankees lineup. It's all right. Clark Schmidt didn't have it early, but he settled in. But that was the whole game, right? That first inning. The Yankees get shut out at home. I think they're only their second shutout, first time being shut out at home, whatever. Bounce back tomorrow, and you know how it's going to go. It's going to be Max Fried. It might probably be a close game, and then it's going to go to Devin Williams. Who knows? I don't want to put that out there. But anyway, let's get back to the phones talking about the Yankees. I'm sure we're going to continue talking about the Knicks. I've done an hour on the Knicks, really the last hour on the Knicks, and when this Mets game is over in the next half hour, we'll take calls on the Mets. How about it? Justin and Danbury. What's up, Justin? You're on.
What's going on? Keith, nice to listen to. I haven't listened to in a little bit, but I actually went to the Yankees today, driving back actually now. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on Volpe and Wells. Really more with Volpe, but like they said this guy was going to be the next coming of Jeter. They said this guy was going to be the man. And that's why we didn't sign Seager, which I was very, very upset about. They didn't do that because they had, Volpe's farm system. But I want to hear, what are your thoughts on Volpe? What are your thoughts on maybe the deadline, maybe getting DeGrom? I know it's a shot in the dark, but maybe trading Spencer Jones. I'm tired of these prospects that are not fulfilling up to their potential. Volpe did not fill up his potential. He's not going to be the guy. I know that for sure. Well, I don't know if he's going to be the guy either. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Thanks for the call, Justin. I think I said earlier they're going to get on Volpe. Somebody's going to get on Volpe because he wasn't clutch tonight. He had opportunities tonight. He grounded in a double play twice. Stop comparing him to Jeter. Stop comparing anybody to Jeter or Mariano or anybody from the past. Has Volpe been underwhelming for where he was projected? Yeah, but it's compounded, right? My boy Jeremy hit me after, Volpe made I think the second to last hour when he grounded into double play. And he's like, he was the third ranked prospect in baseball heading into 2023. He hasn't gotten much better. Well, I look at it like this. The Yankees know he has a solid glove at the most important position in the infield to have a solid glove. He won a Gold Glove. He turned 24 this year. The Yankees literally let him win the job and develop on the job, and he's still developing and becoming. He homered yesterday, 2 days ago now, but we just forget about that. And I don't think the Yankees look at him as a negative on this team. I think they look at him as, yeah, he's an average player. You want more from him, and when I say it's compounded, you want more from him because you feel like we could have signed Corey Seager or Carlos Correa or Trevor Story or Javi Baez, that whole shortstop class that was passed on, or even Trey Turner. They weren't trying to do that. And if you do that, maybe you don't have Carlos Rodon and Max Fried right now. Maybe you didn't get Juan Soto last year because you did that. It's also compounded because of who you passed on. As you're talking about trading for DeGrom at the deadline, we were supposed to trade for Luis Castillo in 2022. It didn't happen. Volpe's not going anywhere. That's your shortstop. He's homegrown. The team loves him. His teammates and the organization. One of us. He's born in New York, raised in Jersey. His family came up in New York, watching the games, going to, like, I know you might not care for the storyline, but they don't need him to be a superstar, and they don't want to DFA him or trade him, or like they don't look at him as a negative like fans do. 888-808-1019. Now, Austin Wells, I don't know about. Austin Wells got to be better for your starting catcher that, you know, was protecting Judge. Like, this guy was hitting behind Judge. This guy was hitting cleanup last year. This guy finished third in Rookie of the Year voting, where we're like, you know, this guy was supposed to be a bat first catcher. So much so they thought about maybe he's got to play first base. And he's hitting 208. And I know he homered the other day, but at the same time, it's like, yo, he's got to be better. He's hitting 8th. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. Not good enough. I don't know what to tell y'all. Chicken parm partners, Volpe and Wells, figuring out their swings and batting stances over chicken parm dinners. Maybe they're due for another one. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Richie in Queens on the fan. What's up, Richie?
I'm up a little late. I saw my Giants finally win a game. But with the Yankees going, watching them earlier, the points he made, it looks like, with a 6-game lead, 20 games to go. I think they obviously have enough to keep it up, to stay on top. And some of these individuals, I keep waiting for Volpe to that streak to get him to be a 270 hitter. That's what I thought he would be. You would hope that he would be, an on-base percentage of 330, and he could be, with 20 stolen bases, a really good leadoff guy. At this point, I think they got to keep him where he is until he proves it. But hey, I think they've been fine, and obviously losing Weaver, and getting Williams, getting him back, I think is important. Now, I didn't hear you take on the Knicks. I know it's 2 days old already, but I kind of been thinking about it, Keith, and tell me if you agree. I think the fact is the last 4 years they were favored and they got knocked out by teams. I also think with the Celtics, like last year, they kind of gave them a pass because of all the injuries. Randall wasn't there. Obviously, OG was hurt. Brunson was hurt. And the fact that they beat the Celtics and lost Indiana, and I think game 1 was historic. We talked about that. I know it's not all on the coach, but I think that was a big part of it. He did nothing to stop the momentum that was going negatively against him. And game 6 was an abomination. And the fact that he is supposedly a defensive coach. So when they took all that in, I really felt that I was not stunned. Yeah, I was surprised. I thought they would keep him. But knowing Rose, I think he had somebody in mind. And I think that they really felt that he got to a certain plateau and couldn't get them any further.
Thanks for the call, Richie. Yeah, I mean, I've talked all around it. Ultimately, it wasn't good enough. And they felt like he brought them as far as they were going to go and that he wouldn't get them over the hump. And this was a fail. It was a success. It was a successful season. One of the more successful seasons in the Knicks' recent history. But at the same time, yeah, when you're favored, when you have home court advantage, when you have an all-time collapse in your building game 1, heads got to roll. So that's it for Tibbs. That's it. That's it for his era. And they got to have somebody in mind that can pick this thing up and not lose a step. They got to pick this thing up and get right back to where they were. And I think that's going to be extremely difficult to do. Josh is in Passaic, back on the fan. Let's see if his phone is working this time.
Yo, Keith, what's poppin'? Let's be back on.
Okay, you're good. You're in there. What's up, man?
Good. As I told you before, we have these days when it gets more busy, we have school at night. So when, the Yankees go out west and you're on early, there's no way I can get up. I got to wait for, when the Yankees come back, call us and I can come back on here. And, with the line, I don't know, maybe it was like China or something that's messing with the stuff or something. Who knows?
It's who?
Maybe, I don't know, China did something. My phone wasn't going.
Why you gotta blame China?
Yeah, they're always the easiest to blame on,
Anyway, I don't want to go down that path. So they'll write a whole Reddit thread on me if I co-sign that one.
I hope that's done. Anyway, so first up on the Knicks, it's that's fine because it did surprise some people, but you can look at it always both ways. Going to that Boston series, how no one expected them to win, and what people expected, they're gonna get bounced and they're gonna go tip. Now they ended up winning that series, but most wouldn't attribute it to the Knicks playing. They attribute it to how Boston played and just said like garbage, and that's what propelled them. And then they did have that chance to get one. That's all too where they're gonna point to them, but I don't know. NBA it's just hard to understand. Like another thing that you can't understand is why teams still trade. They're like the future of the entire bench for star players. Like if you look at the teams that have won the championships in the last years, and none of the teams on those traded for big superstars gave their whole bench and all the picks. You want to go back, Boston built their own team. Denver picked it. They built their own team. The Lakers did trade for Davis, but it wasn't such a major trade where they gave up too much. They still had LeBron. The Warriors dynasty, they built up by themselves. The Cavs before then, and look at the two teams in the finals right now. And one of the teams that are really trading for big players and giving up your whole bench and a star and all these picks doesn't work.
Yeah, but it's a gamble, it's a risk, and they try to strike now. And yeah, but I won't say that it doesn't work. I
because of that, not on that.
No, it's never going to work for the Nets. They tried to cut the line a couple of times and it blew up in their face. But
even looking at the rest of the teams that tried doing that stuff.
No, that era is over of the super teams, of the big threes, of the putting a dynamic duo together. You have to build through the draft. You have to build chemistry. You have to go through wars together. You have to stick together. And that essentially is why I feel like it was a mistake for the Knicks to get rid of Tom Thibodeau. Thanks for the call, Josh. You mean to tell me that you put Brunson and Bridges and Towns together and he wins 50-plus games and gets them further this year and it was time? I guess. But if it's time, you better have the next guy lined up. And I think they had plenty of time to start thinking about who the next guy was. As we took calls about Tom Thibodeau losing his job in the Detroit Pistons series, as we took calls going into the Celtics series saying, if they're bounced in the second round again, does this guy keep his job? He beats them, gets out of the second round, and loses his job. Let's go to Rockland and talk to Martin on the fan. What's up, Martin?
Hey, what's up? How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm good.
So I really called about the Knicks, but first about the Yankees. You were talking before about Volpe and the way he is, and I know. I mean, at least for this season, he's our shortstop. He's here to stay for now. The bigger concern around Volpe is if you have a player like Volpe, a solid shortstop, and hitting 240, and then you have a whole team around them hitting 270 and above, and you have Judge hitting 380, and then Paul Goldschmidt hitting what he's hitting, then you have a solid team. But when you have a team that half the team is hitting under 250, you have a big problem with Volpe hitting also under 250, and then Wells and all these problems come to fruition like this. That's what we're having an issue with.
Yeah, there's ebbs and flows of it too. And I mean, you wish that he would have better at bats and be more consistent. He comes through at times. He can't come through at times when you need him to be clutch. But ultimately, like you said, like there's so many other good players and good hitters around him. His defense, and when he does come through lower in the lineup, it's good enough for them.
Yeah, but my point is he has to be even lower in the line. But we don't have anyone to put in front of him. But he should be low. Well,
I think when they get another right-handed bat at the deadline, that'll afford them the opportunity to do that. But for now, he is where he is.
Now, and on to the Knicks. I do understand what you're saying, and I did think about the fact when we were discussing it throughout the whole Pacers series. People were discussing about Tibbs, and I did understand the fact that there isn't any better option as of what we can see. And if there isn't any better option, what you go out and fire him. I hope they have a better plan because I don't know what their plan is. And nope, honest, I hope they really do have a better plan. But with that being said, if they do have a better plan, I mean, think about it. Game 1, the Knicks should have won Game 1, yes? We lost Game 1. That was a big blow. Comes Game 2, we lose Game 2 again. It could have been, he's supposed to be a defensive coach, and we didn't see that at all throughout the playoffs at all, but especially not in this series. Comes Game 3, the Knicks win Game 3. He did some things that he knew he would never do, but he did it because
he had to, and it worked.
And it worked. What happened in Game 4? He went back to his old way. So why should anyone think that come next season he's going to go back to his Game 5 plan?
Because he'll have a different team next year. Thanks for the call, Martin. Because he would have, in theory, he would have a different team, maybe a different starting 5 and a deeper bench, and learn from what he went through this season. Every loss, there's a lesson. Like, in theory, you would think that he would learn from what happened in the Pacers series, and him and Leon Rose would build out a better roster, and they'd go into next season and then not play the starters as much in the regular season. Keep these guys fresh. Learn from what Mikal Bridges had to say during the season. Learn from Josh Hart at the end of the season saying, yeah, I need to come off the bench. I'll sacrifice. I'll do that. That's what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, collect that data and apply it in the next season. Somebody else will be doing that now, and they will add to this team. And I don't know exactly who they're going to add. I don't think they're going to add another star, but they will add some better players off the bench to make this a deeper team that can run with the likes of the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hollywood out in Brooklyn on the Fan before we get to the next break. Hollywood, you're in there.
It's a sportscaster. What's going on, my brother?
My guy.
You already know. Okay, so I'm calling here. You know, again, as a basketball coach here with you, the organization, I watch things and I watch it really. First of all, nobody's blaming Tom Thibodeau for Game 1 loss. I'm going to blame him. And I'm going to tell you why. And then get to who I want them to bring in. So it's not who's been there with you. It's who's been doing something for you at the moment. When he took Deuce McBride out to bring back the superstar, the big contract, Daddy's a little boy on the team. And I don't mean to say that because I love Jalen Brunson. When he brought him back in there, I knew they were in trouble. You got to go with what's working for you at the moment. You can't go from what's happened with you in the past. And I think Brunson, he would have sat there and realized, listen, I'm not giving anything defensively. Deuce McBride is out here doing what he's doing. I'm here to win a championship. I'm not here to pad up my stats. So with that being said, I agree with the firing of Tom Thibodeau. I agree with it. I like Thibodeau as a coach. He came in as a defensive-minded coach, and the Knicks played absolutely no defense. I didn't see no strategies, no steps. And I think the Knicks need to bring back Jeff Van Gundy to right this ship quickly. And I know a couple people out here who might agree with me. I heard Udoka, I heard Jason Kidd. I said, don't go and trade something for a coach that's already what it needs. You know, bring somebody in there that's going to just turn things around immediately. And I think Van Gundy will be a great coach for the Knicks. I think he brings discipline, and I also think he's a person that, like, develop players, will play his bench, and I'm going to put who's in there doing something for me now, not who's been doing something there for me lately. Keith, I love you. I appreciate you. Again, you're my inspiration with this sportscasting thing behind the scenes with chatting, and I just want to hear what you have to say about that. I appreciate you taking my call, bro.
Thanks for the call, and keep grinding, man. Keep doing your thing, and you'll make it if you put in the work and you want it enough. I'm waiting. The only things that I say against Jeff Van Gundy are this. I'm waiting to hear anything about Jeff Van Gundy. We haven't heard anything definitively. The two things for me, he has a relationship with Tom Thibodeau. Is he willing to take that job after they just kicked his boy to the curb like that? And, like, that's tough. And then I say no more second tours. Because the good memories you have of Jeff Van Gundy, which, you know, those could be completely erased if he comes in here and he's not successful with this team. If he gets fired in 2 years, 3 years for never getting back with this team. 888-808-1009. Andy Pajes has broken up the scoreless game for the Dodgers. The Dodgers are on the board with a solo shot, but it's the bottom of the ninth. Ryan Stanek gives up a solo shot. It's 6-1 Mets. 1 hour to go. Plenty of calls to get to about the Knicks. I do want to read something that Tommy Beer put out about it being time and Tom Thibodeau. And we'll take your calls on who you think is next and how you feel now that you've had more time to digest this whole thing. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Call us up. We'll be right back. Good morning. Okay, so let me read this. It was time. Tibbs was unwilling to expand his rotation. He refused to adhere to advanced metrics. His rigidity and unwillingness to it. His rigidity, that's not his rigidness, his rigidity, inability to be bent or forced. But that's, you can't use that term that way. Like, that's a noun, right? Rigidity or an adjective. Rigidity, the inability. I don't know how this is written. His rigidity and like, you can't say his rigidity, his rigidness and unwillingness to adjust. I'll say that because his rigid, because that's, you would describe what you'd be saying his rigidity approach. It wouldn't be his rigidity and unwillingness. His rigidiness and unwillingness to adjust or adapt were maddening. His assistants, as well as Leon Rose and the front office, surely requested that he modify his approach, even slightly, yet he brushed aside such suggestions until Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, after his team fell behind 0-2. As I noted throughout the season, the Knicks starters playing an ungodly amount of minutes wasn't ill-advised just because it increased the risk of injury. Fortunately, they remained healthy for the most part, but because the opportunity cost of not experimenting with, I'm not reading this on air. It's not written well enough. Thibodeau had 6 months to experiment and tinker with different lineups, yet was content to trot out the same 5 players for 35 plus minutes every night. Then 3 days away from June, he was searching, attempting to make the puzzle pieces fit together correctly. If Tibbs were willing to recognize that his approach was flawed, the front office might have given him one more season at the helm. It surely hurt Rose to fire his friend, but I just never got the sense Thibodeau was ever going to recalibrate his system or bend to the wishes of others. The Knicks survived one season in which their starters played more minutes than any other team in the NBA. Would they survive another? Ultimately, Leon Rose and company deserve credit for not only making the initial Tibbs hire, but recognizing that the team needed a new voice and a fresh perspective. I'll read that part. Sometimes things just happen like that. It runs its course, its time, and it takes a smart person to recognize when it's time. So we'll see. We'll see. Game. Bro, that Pete Alonso homer. He put it in the back of the pavilion. 447. I got to see what pitch. That pitch was right down the middle. He a 92-mile-an-hour sinker, middle, second pitch.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by Police Officers Right to Sue.com. Just went final a few moments ago in LA. The Mets rolled the Dodgers 6-1. Pete Alonso, a pair of jacks. He knocked in 5. Juan Soto drove in the other run, while Griffin Canning was brilliant. 6 scoreless innings, a 3-hit ball with 7 Ks. Before the game, also announced Mark Vientos, low-grade hamstring injury, so he'll get treatment for the next 10 to 14 days, and then he'll resume baseball activities. Luis Ortiz stifled the Yankees for 5 2/3, scattered 3 hits, struck out 7. Guardians shut down the Bombers 4-zip. Clark Schmidt, a rough start, allowed 3 in the first, settled down, gave the Yankees 5 2/3 innings, a 3-run ball with 8 Ks. Stanley Cup Finals, Edmonton outlasted the Panthers 4-3 in overtime. Leon Draisaitl with a pair, including your game winner. And Jordan Ott, reportedly the new head coach of the Suns, apparently getting the job over fellow Cavs assistant Johnny Bryant, who is rumored to be a candidate for the Knicks job. Spent 4 years as an assistant under Tom Thibodeau. 73 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
This doesn't happen very.
Oh, yeah. No room for Mets haters. No room for Juan Soto haters. The Mets just beat the Dodgers to take the season series. What? Griffin Canning, when you need him to bounce back, gives you his best start as a Met. The poster boy for Jeremy Hefner's pitching lab. Oh, and don't look now. Juan Soto is coming in to do the kick celebration. Wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah. Oh, and they just went like the Lakers did. Or was it the Lakers with LeBron? Wasn't the bottle flip? Maybe it was LeBron with the Cavs. And did he do it in New York against the Knicks? You know the water bottle trick where they flip the water bottle and it lands straight up? Well, there's a video out there making its rounds of Juan Soto coming out to the top step of the dugout, flipping the bottle. It lands straight up, and the crowd goes wild. They're having fun. They're winning. And you know what? Lil bro couldn't handle business out there last weekend against the Dodgers. So the other big bro from New York had to go and get it done. My make it happen Mets. 888-808-1019. I knew they could do it. I knew they could do it. I've been telling y'all all along, the Mets versus Dodgers, they're going to close the gap on them. I've been telling you all along, this year is going to be different. Man, they checked the Dodgers. They put the Dodgers in their place again. Another one-run game for the Dodgers against the Mets. Call us up. We'll continue the calls on the Yankees, on Tom Thibodeau, but I'm sure in this next 50 minutes and into Big Mac's show, the Met fan is going to call and say, hey, we've taken 4 games from these guys out of 5? Out of 6? I don't know. I think it's out of 7, but you haven't played the other 1 yet. So out of 6, 4 out of 6 games. And that's the tiebreaker. Impressive. I'm not even trolling. Like, I love baseball. I like to watch baseball. I don't hate the Mets. These are my Mets. There's some goofy-ass Mets fans that I don't like. But as far as his Mets team goes, Pete Alonso, never a bad word about Pete Alonso, as he is walking down David Wright. And then next, Darryl Strawberry and a celebration maybe in Flushing when Pete is the all-time franchise leader in home runs. Juan Soto is contributing at the plate and with his glove and smiling and having fun, shuffling, enjoying being a Metropolitan. What else can you ask for? What else can you ask for? You beat the Dodgers, the team that knocked you off last year, and now you can dream of going to the World Series. Anyway, I want to read something from Tommy Beer about Tom Thibodeau. And like the thing is, at this juncture, right, we don't know who they're going to pick next, but we have all had time to accept it and digest it and think about it and talk all around it. Tibbs, they didn't feel was the guy to take them to the promised land. They thank him for what he did, but it's done. Now, there are examples in the NBA, like I gave you the last 3 years of the Eastern Conference Finals, the Heat losing in the finals, then winning and going on to the final, losing the Eastern Conference Finals, and then winning the next year in the Eastern Conference Finals going on. Same thing happened the next year with the Celtics. Same thing happened with the Pacers. The Knicks are in line for that. Now, you can stay the course with the same team, same coach, but there's also evidence that it's happened in the NBA that going to a Nick Nurse or a Steve Kerr, making that coaching change could be the difference to put you over the hump, and that's what the Knicks are betting on. So Tommy Beer writes, Tom Thibodeau had 6 months to experiment and tinker with different lineups, yet was content to trot out the same 5 players for 35-plus minutes every night. Then 3 days away from June, he was searching, attempting to make the puzzle pieces fit together correctly. If Tibbs were willing to recognize that his approach was flawed, the front office might have given him one more season at the helm. It surely hurt Rose to fire his friend, but I just never got the sense Tom Thibodeau was ever going to recalibrate his system or bend to the wishes of others. The Knicks survived one season in which their starters played more minutes than any other team in the NBA. Would they survive another 2026? Ultimately, Leon Rose and company deserve credit for not only making the initial Tibbs hire, but recognizing that the team needed a new voice and fresh perspective. You should believe that they know their group, they know their bunch, they know their team, their franchise, and they know that if they want to reach the heights that they're trying to reach, know that they are trying to win a championship. They said they're singularly focused on that. This guy has not won a championship anywhere else. They've made a decision that would be all, Tom. 888-808-1019. Carlos is in Clifton, New Jersey on the Fan. Go for it, Los.
I wasn't going to call you today. I was enjoying my little 2-hour commute home from work. And then John from Brooklyn came on, and he sounded like the mad rapper. And then he said he was from Brooklyn. And I'm like, spread love is the Brooklyn way. So then I started hearing everything else. I got stuff to talk about now. Volpe, I don't understand why everybody's jumping on Volpe. Volpe, right now, if I'm wrong, doesn't he have over 35 RBIs or about 35 RBIs?
Yeah, he's I think he was leading all shortstops with runs batted in last week. He's probably right up there if he's not the leader.
Isn't he not coming off a Gold Glove?
He has a Gold Glove, yes, from 2 years ago, I believe, but he's still solid defensively. Yeah.
But I think us as Yankee fans, we got so used to seeing Jeter, like, that standard is always going to be there. We're always going to, like, compare somebody. They have to be that level. They have to be that level. And I just think they got to give the kid a little more time. He's young. He's athletic.
He's not a negative. He's not a negative. He's not a superstar. He's not a negative.
Right. And on the Knicks, this is what I want to see. I want to see this next coach. How many coaches he brings in with him? Because I just think I don't think Thibodeau is the one that made that change. I think the coaching staff told him, you got to change it up. You got to put these two guys. I don't think that was Thibodeau. And I want that. I hope that comes out soon. If Thibodeau actually says, no, I made that change on my own, which I doubt. I doubt that was Thibodeau.
Yeah, nah, he was overruled. The votes came in. It was everybody versus him, and it was a sinking ship. And in that game, there was foul trouble that it forced his hand. He had to do it, and it worked.
And one other point I just want to touch on. I hope Mitchell Robinson is listening to me. I'm a long-time Knicks fan. Dude, foul shots, you are so important to us. If you can hit at least 70% of your foul shots, they can't do anything tough. All right, Keith, I'll let you go from here.
Thanks for the call, Los. Yeah, if I'm Mitchell Robinson, I'd be working on that all off season. He did just post a video that he hit 31 out of 51 foul shots working on it. Whatever. I don't know, man. Let's go to Patrick in Brooklyn. We got Brooklyn back to back on the phones. What's up, Pat?
What's good? How are Brooklyn? Yeah. So I want to speak on what you just made a point of how Thibodeau played his starters more minutes than any other playoff team. It was reported Jay Williams and another network said if Knicks started to play 700 more minutes than any other playoff team, and he said that equated to 14 more games. So that's why Indiana was able to run and gun on those.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's actually kind of crazy when you crunch the numbers like that.
That's crazy. And I know you say JK might not be available, but I would love this kid. Van Gundy, I'm not mad. If they get Van Gundy, if he wants to come back, okay. Mike Malone, I'm not mad at that either because he had Jokic in Denver. And if you notice with how Jokic played, he hardly started his game outside the three-point line. He either started on the low post or around the free throw line. So if they can bring that, they'll give Towns options. And hopefully, I know he plays his bench, so that'll make it look better for the Knicks.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Patrick. Now, like, I don't know if Ime Udoka or Jason Kidd are completely out. I would assume that they're content where they are, but you got to make those calls. You got to check on it. And I think both of those guys wouldn't be afraid of the chance, the opportunity. We'll see. I don't know. I'm very interested to see. I keep saying Johnny Bryant, but maybe not. You in theory, you would want somebody with experience. If you're putting all this pressure on them to win, right? You're not giving a rookie coach a soft landing spot at all. You need somebody to come in here. And like I said before about getting to, the Eastern Conference Finals, you're going up against the best of the best players and coaches. It's no time to be learning on the job. It's a pressure cooker. And yeah, when you break down the amount of minutes that the Knicks starting five played compared to their competition, it is a marathon. It is a long-ass race. And if you play all of those minutes, you're bound to, you're going to be conditioned. You're going to be in shape, but you're bound to get hurt. And that's why I just read that passage from what Tommy Beer wrote. They were healthy this year. Were they healthy the year before? No. Were they healthy the year before that? No. They had injuries. Right? When they lost to the Heat, IQ was hurt and somebody else was hurt. And then even last year, Mitch was hurt, Brunson was hurt, OG was hurt, and Josh Hart were hurt. Now, I know Mitch had an injury that, it wasn't necessarily from being, but, all injuries can be attributed to being run down. When you break something, sprain something, pull something, like Josh Hart had an abdominal injury, OG had a hammy, that is directly connected to being worn down. You have to adapt and evolve. They felt like this guy was not going to adapt and evolve. Man, that is happening all around us. In business, as I keep going back to, trying to bring it to our regular level, businesses have to adapt and evolve to the digital age. Social media, technology, artificial intelligence. If you're not using those things, if you're not adapting to the modern day times, you're going to get left behind and people are going to make decisions to move on without you. 888-808-1019. Brooklyn, 3 in a row, 3 the hard way. Let's go to Josh in Brooklyn next. Going once, twice, a third time. Josh in Brooklyn on the fan. If you're awake, if you're still there, if your phone is working, you got it. We're going to put Josh on hold. And then I'm going to queue up my Tell Me Something Cool. And this guy's got a great name, and he's calling from a great place. Let's go to Keith in Ocean County. And if Josh wants to call back, he can join us. But Keith, you're on. You got it.
Hey, Keith, how are you? My favorite host. 2 points. First of all, about the Mets. A Yankee fan, but still happy for them. I think Pete Alonso's the most underrated player in the MLB. Definitely in terms of respect and what he went through last year. I mean, he was most himself, but I think the Mets are happy to have him. About the Yankees, what's with the lineup? Why do they change the lineup every single day? I mean, look at Ben Rice. I'm sure he gets a lot. He should be playing more. He's consistently good at that. But don't you want to create a duo, a dynamic duo? You're not going to get Soto and Judge, I understand. But having it Grisham, Rice, Judge, or Goldschmidt and Judge, you don't have those. Goldschmidt and Judge are two best hitters right now. I don't know if in scientific baseball, it makes sense to have them back to back always. But don't you want to create that duo that for the fans, for the team, for the friendship that could fuel the growth of the offensive team in baseball?
No, I think the duo is over. That was the whole thing last year to have, Soto and Judge as a duo. Now this is a team and supposed to be a deeper lineup, and they play the numbers and the matchups, lefty, righty. Every time you see a lineup, for the most part, it's in an effort to play certain guys. So like right now, Jason Dominguez is hurt, so he's not in there. But Jazz just came back, so you're gonna get different lineups there. With that alone, like what it is guys coming back into the fold and trying to get playing time for guys, and then playing the matchup depending on if it's a right-handed pitcher or left-handed pitcher on the mound and how they want to stack, righty, lefty, lefty, righty, and who they want leading off.
Right. Yeah, I got that. And one more thought about Devin Williams. I think what you were saying about Anthony Volpe, would you send that to Devin Williams as well, giving him his time? So do you find?
No. Well, I mean, with Volpe, the youth and the young card is only going to play with Volpe for maybe another year or two. He'll be 25 next year. Like, he's got to figure it out this year. Devin Williams, this, in my opinion, is his only year as a Yankee. And there's the grace period ended. We gave him that grace period. He was the closer. He blew it. He couldn't do it. He lost that job. He became the setup guy. He figured it out there. Now he's forced into action as a closer again. You have to perform. It's June. Like, there is no more coddling, no more kid gloves, no more grace for Devin Williams. He has to close these games and not blow it. And fingers crossed for that.
I got you. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, Keith. So, like Trent Grisham, in theory, as a center fielder and as now a guy that's like becoming more of a consistent leadoff hitter, like, I'm fine with that. And I don't care how many the Yankees always change the lineup. I don't care about that. They always change the lineup. And I don't need a duo. I don't need anybody consistently batting back to back. I mean, you do have consistency. Like, it was Grisham, Rice, Judge, Belly, Goldie, Jazz, Volpe, Ascara, LeMahieu on Tuesday. And then the only change in the lineup today, I'm pretty sure, was Austin Wells, another left-handed catcher batting in the A spot. They ran the same lineup back. Now, I guess if you want to go back to the Dodgers series where Dominguez was available, and that's what I'm saying, Dominguez is out right now. And Dominguez is also a switch hitter. So if you want to go back to Sunday, let's look at Sunday's lineup and say they keep tweaking the lineup, changing the lineup. Yeah, because that's a product of trying to get different guys in the lineup and who they're facing. Like Sunday, they were facing Yamamoto, who's like a very dominant right-handed pitcher. So they put Goldie at the top of the order, then Grisham, Judge, Rice, Dominguez. Like, that lineup was different, yeah. And Jazz wasn't back yet. If you have Peraza at third base, and Peraza has to hit at the bottom of the order, right under DJ. I don't have any problem with the lineup because they're scoring runs. Like Sunday, they put up 7 runs against the Dodgers to leave with some dignity. Speaking of the Dodgers, your stars have to star. Your star players have to play well against their cast of star players. I don't know what the hell they're playing Michael Conforto every day for. I guess they have no other options there with that. He's like the only one that really sticks out is like, this guy is not a star, but whatever, that's their thing. Where I'm going to is Pete Alonso, man. That pitch, the first pitch Pete Alonso saw was a sinker, and then the pitcher threw him another sinker like a little lower in the same spot, and he mashed it 450 feet. There's a video of Freddie Freeman just turning his head and looking at where it went. It went into the back of I think that they call that the pavilion in Dodger Stadium. It went out the back where you see people chasing the ball. Like, it's hard to hit that out there. That's deep territory out there. Good for Pete. Pay Pete. Worth all the money. Doing it. Like, your stars have to start. Against the Dodgers, Pete Alonso knows what time it is. He's looking at Freddie Freeman like, I know you got a good contract, big money, Freddie. I know you like that. So am I. And, you know, for the Mets, when you're getting this performance out of Griffin Canning, and Sean Manaea hasn't come back yet. Sean Manaea is set to have his first rehab start. The rich are only going to get richer. And then you also have David Stearns, who's going to be looking at the trade deadline. The rich are only going to get richer. You lose Mark Vientos, okay. Did Ronnie Mauricio do anything today? As I'm trying to pull that box score back up. I know he was 0 for 4 in his debut. It doesn't really matter. Tonight was Pete Alonso's night. Another 0 for 4 for Mauricio, but he's a young boy out there. I was moved by the video of him crying, him tearing up during the national anthem. Like, that's a guy living his dream and being on the main stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a kid that was just, what was he at AAA Syracuse, and now it's New York versus LA. The Mets have the second best record in baseball. He's getting to start at third base and be in the lineup. He's just sitting there probably thinking like, wow, look at me. How did I get here this fast? So, I mean, good for him. Good for the Mets. I'm not rooting for the Dodgers. See, I'm not like that. If it ends up being Dodgers Mets again, I'm not rooting for the Dodgers. I know Mets fans were rooting for the Dodgers to beat the Yankees because they didn't want to live in a world where the Yankees win the World Series, but I wasn't rooting for the Dodgers. Congrats. Like, you know, if you're able to, if the Mets are able to get to the NLCS and avenge that loss, I won't be mad about that. Get to the World Series. I hope the Yankees are there waiting on you. Stay healthy, get healthier, get guys back. Frankie Montas, I don't know about. Frankie Montas, you might need to give him a couple more starts. He's got the lat strain, and I think his last time out, he got hit around a little bit. He wasn't effective. I wouldn't rush him back. Things are going good. You got the 6-man rotation going. Things are going good. Now, you know, you take 2 out of 3 here. Take this next one. Take this next one. Step right up and take the series from the Dodgers in their building. Humble them. Humble them. It's David Peterson versus Landon Knack. Why can't they humble them? They absolutely can. Take that series. Like, you already took the season series. Take both series. Take the series in Chavez Ravine. And then you feel really good about when you see them again later in the season. And sure, both teams will probably look different. But no, this is a super positive for the Mets early on here to go beat the Dodgers. You know, I know how much weight was on the Yankees going out there to beat the Dodgers, and they got beat like a drum Saturday, and then they embarrassed themselves giving up the lead that they had and having their ace get rocked on Friday. For the Mets, like, it took a 10-inning game for the Dodgers to beat you, and who knows if things go a little bit different, like, you know, Brazoban has to pitch there, whatever, and you end up losing that game. But no, I think if you're a Met fan right now, you're looking at a smiling Juan Soto who is performing. You know, he took Kershaw deep. He's making plays in the field. He's doing the leg kick with the team. They're all happy. Hey, Lindor said it as far as culture goes, as far as team building and, them being all locked in, winning helps. Winning cures all. And when you got Juan Soto doing the water bottle game, doing the water bottle flip on the broadcast, SNY is able to capture that. These guys are having fun, because it's a 6-0 game in the 9th inning. They can kind of joke around. They can kind of play around. They can kind of loosen up. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Keyport and talk to Bob on the fan. What's up, Bob? Good. How are you?
Yeah, I was going to say, until late in the game, didn't the Mets and Yankees game kind of look eerily similar tonight?
As far as the shutouts go and the run scored early?
The first inning?
Yeah. 3 runs scored in the beginning of the game and then just nothing for a while. But, obviously then Pete Alonso tacked on. And, yeah, there's been similarities both nights. I'd said earlier, Tyler McGill gave it up early last night. Then he settled in, retired 16 out of 17. Same thing happened for Clark Schmidt. He gave it up early and then retired 13 out of 15. But, the thing is that the Mets won. The Yankees lost.
Yeah, I told you about 2 weeks ago, I was talking about how Yankees bat shut off some days. And your counterpoint was, well, yeah, but they do have the best batting, the best batting staff in baseball. Could that be because they're having days where they score 5 home runs in one day, but then some days they're still scoring nothing, which would still give them the best stats? Then they still got nothing some days.
I'm not sure what you're asking. So last time you spoke to me, you said Sunday that you said that the bats came alive, and I said that they have the best,
Some days they're alive, and some days they're dead.
Oh, some days, not Sunday specifically, Sunday night baseball. Yeah, go on.
And your counterpoint was they have the best batting stats.
Yeah.
5 home runs. Days with 13 runs scored, so that's going to give you the best stats, even if some days you bet stats.
And that's baseball, Susan. Some days, I mean, they got shut out last night, but that's only their second shutout. But they have a lot of games where they've had multiple home runs and have scored, more than 8, 9 double-digit runs early on in the season.
Well, what happened last night doesn't really make sense if you look at how the team's going in bad.
No, it absolutely makes sense when Luis L. Ortiz is throwing the kitchen sink at these guys and has them off balance, and they can't figure out, he had a ton of movement on his pitches. They can't figure out what is coming. He was throwing a 4-seam fastball, a slider, a sinker, a changeup. He froze Judge and he froze Goldschmidt, where I'm like, if he's doing that to these guys, like, you tip your cap. And even though they're great hitters and they have ridiculous stats as a team and run differential and all that, like, it was his night. Sometimes it's not your night.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks for the call, Bob. I don't know. Baseball is a sport of failure. Baseball is the most humbling sport out there. All baseball players and teams are going to go through stretches of being zeros, doing nothing, but then also go through stretches of seeing beach balls out there, smacking home runs, scoring a lot of runs. I don't think I said anything prophetic. I don't think I said anything out of school. And when I even got on tonight, I wasn't sweating the Yankees losing tonight because Ortiz had the run support that he needed in the first inning. He locked in. He had only given up 2 hits. That's baseball. I'm not tripping off that because Max Fried is on the mound. They could bounce back tomorrow. And this guy pitching for them, I haven't even heard of. I think he was in the trade for Josh Naylor or something like that. I heard at the end of the postgame show. I expect Max Fried to shove, and I expect the Yankees to score runs and hit home runs. But not every day, even if they do have the best stats or whatever, Let's go. Team batting stats on Fangraphs 2025. I'm sure they're up there. Yes, they are at number 1. NYY. But like that doesn't mean every day. We gotta take a break. I don't know. I'm not sure what Bob was getting at right there. You know, some days. That's what I thought you were specifically talking about Sunday Night Baseball. Yes, Bob. Some days, Aaron Judge is gonna go 4 for 4 with a homer, and then other days he's not. Like he's just not gonna get a hit, and he's still gonna win MVP and maybe a Triple Crown and be the best player in the game. And that same thing can be applied to the Yankees as a whole as an offense. Some days they're going to have double-digit hits and runs. Some days they're going to have a goose egg and only a couple hits, depending on the starting pitcher and who has good at-bats and who locks in and if they can get to the bullpen. That's baseball, Susan. Not Susan's brand of baseball, but that's baseball, Susan. You watch? I think you watch. You listen to the fan and call it 11 or 1:30. I don't even know what time it is. 1:30 at night. I think you watch. I don't know. I'm not sure what we were getting at there. Taking your calls at 888-808-1019. Pete Alonso continues to mash at Dodger Stadium. Your stars got to be stars. They pay him the big bucks. I've been calling him Paid Pete because he's been nothing but money. What a great decision it was to bring that guy back. Can you imagine the Mets moving on from Pete Alonso and saying, yeah, we're good with Mark Vientos at first base? Keith McPherson on the Fan. Call me up. I'm running out of time. We'll do a Tell Me Something Cool. Actually, we'll do my Tell Me Something Cool when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fan. Bro, what was Buddy talking about? He's like, you said that the Yankees have the best offense in baseball. Well, what happened tonight? They ran into a good starting pitcher. They ran to a guy that was throwing everything he had at them. No? Yes? I think yes. Or maybe no. I don't know. Sometimes people confuse me, especially when they go back. I'm like, well, I don't know. You know how many calls I take? You know how many nights I do? I don't remember exactly what we talked about or what the circumstances were or what I even said. But yeah, let me go back. There was an at-bat. Goldschmidt. Let's see. Paul Goldschmidt called out on strikes. He threw an 87.2 mile an hour slider to Paul Goldschmidt that froze him. 7-pitch at bat. I'm about to pull up the same. I know exactly where I'm going, bro. This is me. You're just in the inner workings of my sports brain right now because I'm pulling this up so we can come back and be like, yeah, that guy won. Like that guy's getting paid a lot of money to do his job too. He did his job better tonight. I expect the Yankees to bounce back and do their job better tomorrow. So I think it was the 3rd inning. Where's the freaking box score? Okay, here it is. No, this is a box score from 2 days ago. What day? Oh, it was Wednesday the 4th. Box score here. Go to 3rd inning. In the 3rd inning, Judge got called out on strikes. He threw the same pitch, an 87.2 mile an hour slider. Froze him. He was throwing sinker, 4-seam fastball, slider, and they all look the same to these guys. And then also I want to pull up this other picture. So today is June 5th. And who is this? Ciccione. Slade Ciccione. I don't know anything about Slade Ciccione. Slade CC Oni. Okay. He's 25 years old. News around him. He made his debut this year. Slade Cicioni to be reinstated from IL and make Guardians debut. Excuse me. He's 27 years old. The Guardians acquired Cicioni from Arizona in exchange for first baseman Josh Naylor in December. In this regular season, he's got 1 win, 1 loss, a 5.28 ERA. Let me see his game logs. He's thrown 3 games. In those games, he's given up at least 5 hits. He's given up 3 runs, 1 run, 5 runs. We'll come back with this. Yo, so just off the back of the rejoin music, drop the Tell Me Something Cool, and I'll take it from there. Oh, shit, man. I'm tired. But you should be tired. It's 2 a.m. He got crushed in his last outing. Let's see. Yeah, the 31st. 7 hits, 5 runs, 3 home runs. I'll leave it at that. Hey, John, good to hear from you. Here's something I thought was pretty cool. So Aaron Judge debuted a gavel chain. You know, Jazz has a chain. All these guys are allowed to wear at least 2 chains. 2 chain. Judge has a gavel pendant on his chain. On his chain. It's like diamond iced out chain. The Post had an article and basically pulled back the curtain on us to tell us that it's a $20,000 charm that was given to him by Giancarlo Stanton. Secret's out. Aaron Judge discussed it. And, we saw this. We noticed this early on in the season, but we didn't know, did Judge? And Judge doesn't strike me as the type to go get this type of thing done. But he shared that it was a gift, refusing to comment further. The Post learned that it was $20,000 from Giancarlo Stanton. The stunner is set in 14-karat white gold and more than 12 carats in top-quality VVS-graded diamonds, plus 3 bands of glistening amethyst, and was created by AJ Machado at AJ's Jewelry in Miami. Where's the other part from the article? And I'm probably saying that wrong. Amethyst? I'm not a jewelry guy at all. The bejeweled bauble contains a few personal details. Nora, the name of Judge's daughter, as well as her birthday, 1/27/25. Sam, short for his wife's name, Samantha. Gus and Penny, his dog's name. And a 2X, a nod to the 2-time MVP. There's also a rose made of rose gold mixed in with white diamonds on top. What a friend that Big G is to Aaron Judge. What a pal. A $20,000 Judge pennant with all those details on it. That's really cool. That's my tell me something cool for tonight. I'll tell you some more cool stuff about baseball and the Yankees. And we'll get back to the calls at 888-808-1019. So, you know, I was talking to the last caller, Bob, about the Yankees. And if you go to Fangraphs and you go to 2025 hitting stats and go through the stats, the Yankees, when everything is put together, the sum of all things, they're the number one offense. But not every night. Tonight was Luis L. Ortiz's night. And there were two at-bats that specifically stood out to me. The first one was when he froze Judge in the third inning. The second one was when he froze Goldie in the fourth inning. And he froze them on the same pitch. They got called out on strikes looking at an 87.2 mile an hour slider. And if you were watching the game, you know what I'm talking about. This guy was throwing sinker, slider, four-seam fastball that I guess all looked the same and then moved on him. You know what I'm saying? Like this is tough. Even for Judge and Goldie, two of the better hitters in baseball, right? Two guys with ridiculous batting average. Like Judge is batting 289. Goldie is batting 223. He froze those guys with those pitches tonight. 888-808-1019. I tip my cap to that guy. He came in with a plan, and he executed. And he had run support, and the Yankees did nothing against him. They got shut out. But they will face Slade Cecconi? I don't know. Cecconi. He's 27 years old. The Guardians acquired him from Arizona in exchange for first baseman Josh Naylor. He was hurt. He just got reinstated. And when you look up his game logs in the 3 games he's pitched, his last outing on May 31st against the Anaheim Angels, he got rocked. He gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 home runs in 4 innings and a third pitch. So for what my money's worth, and baseball is unpredictable. I may be dead wrong. But for what my money's worth, I'm going to put my money on Max Fried bouncing back from his last outing against the other team in LA and him going maybe 6-7 innings and being solid, maybe only giving up a run. And the Yankees offense finding a way to come back to life against this Slade Cecconi for the Guardians. 888-808-1019. Again, the Mets beat the Dodgers 6-1. Pete Alonso puts on a show. Your stars have to be stars against the deferral Dodgers and all that money they got out there. The guys that you pay the big bucks have to show up against them to beat them. And they're paying Pete Alonso a lot of money, and he came through, but they're not paying Griffin Canning anything. And he came through, and so did the bullpen enough, and the Mets win, and they win the season series. Limo driver Ed is somewhere around LaGuardia on the Fan. What's up, Eddie?
All right, my brother. Well, listen, I'm going to get you a mic for yourself. Might not cost $20,000, but
I'll take it. I will wear it too. Straight up.
Hey, listen. Hey, this is when Soto came to the Mets, and I just said to myself is, all right, let's see what happens. Let's see how things go. He felt he's been disrespected in some way. I admit, Soto wasn't hit. So I can't say because Soto's in the lineup and Pete, no. Pete's doing this. He said he wanted to get paid. He didn't. They allowed him to slip a couple of dollars. I understand that. And Pete's probably saying he should have paid. Should have paid me a couple of years ago. I wouldn't be that costing you that much right now. But Pete's upset a little bit, and he's showing. And I know people whispering in his ear too when he's home or whatever, saying, "Hey, Pete, you better than that boy. They should never pay him. You need that kind of money." Don't think ain't nobody saying that to him. I know they are. And Pete's doing it. He's showing you, man. He's showing you. And he needed somebody like Soto. Only thing I can say about Soto, with that contract and everything he's done, Pete's upset. And it's putting some fire under. See how that boy's hitting?
That ball that he hit on that second pitch that was thrown to him, that's one of the farthest home runs hit at Dodger Stadium this year. It was 447, and the fans were chasing it out of the. I've been to Dodger Stadium. I've been over there. That ball is far. When you're in there and that ball goes back there, it is high. It is far. It is gone.
Hey, now what kind of contract did Pete get? I didn't hear it. I thought it wasn't that much. What kind of contract they gave? Because I always hear you say he got paid. How much money did he get paid?
So, he got a front-loaded contract because in a short-term deal, it's a 2-year, $54 million deal with $30 million this year, $24 million next year, but he can opt out after this first year.
Yeah, and you got guys in the league making how much, 50 or 60 million per year?
I mean, Soto is making close to his whole contract in his first year as a Met.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's a 15-year contract.
Yes, I understand. You're right. You're right about that.
Which is just no, but it goes with what you're saying about Pete Alonso potentially being a little bit offended that like, bro, that's what you gave him before he does anything, and he still hasn't really done anything to help the Mets. And I had to fight for mine. I had to wait for mine. I had to be embarrassed for mine.
Yep. When he let him skip it, wanted to get him out of here, fast to say your name, and didn't even want to pay him. What he's thinking about it yet. I'm telling you, man. Well, hey, eventually you're gonna have to pay him, or if you don't, somebody else would.
Facts.
But right now, because they didn't pay him when they had a chance, they could have.
Thanks for the call, Ed. And yeah, if you want to get me that Mike pennant, you send it to WFAN. I'll rock it. I'll wear a little chain, a little modest chain, a little cross around my neck, but nothing crazy. I'm not a jewelry guy. A couple earrings, wedding ring, watch. You don't want to be too flashy. I'm not rich. Anyway, Pete Alonso and Juan Soto have the same agent. Pete Alonso and Juan Soto are on the same team. I don't really want to make it about Juan Soto, but since Ed did, what I will say is there a chip on Pete Alonso's shoulder? Hell yeah. Is Pete Alonso playing better this year than Juan Soto from opening day to now? Yeah. There's no pressure on Pete. I told y'all this last year. I said you were going to get him at a steal of a deal, and he would have a mulligan on his prove-it year, and he'd be better this year. And I know there's a long way to go, but this version of Pete Alonso was way better than the version we saw last year. He wasn't clutch. He wasn't coming through like this 2-homer game, winning you games. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to be underestimated. You need to be underappreciated. And say, you know what? Like, all right, he said this is where he wants to be. He wants to be a Met. He's a man right now. Juan Soto didn't face the Dodgers with the Mets last year. It means more to Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso has been the face of the Mets with the Mets for years now. I'm happy for that guy. And when he does opt out, they're going to have to run him his money. And he deserves it. I don't know how many times I got on the fan. I said Pete Alonso had to sit around and watch everybody hit the mega millions around him in that clubhouse. Where is my money? And when it became time to give him his money, all we heard was he's getting older. He doesn't have the right body type. He's not that great defensively. He's on the decline. You can't pay him. They'll be fine without him. Just put Mark Vientos at first base. They'll get Vladdy next year. All of that is out of the picture now. Shout out to the Met fan who said, are you guys crazy? You need to protect your $800 million investment. You have to bring Pete Alonso back in this lineup. What are you talking about? There is no. We want Pete Alonso chanting at Amazing Day, putting the pressure on your owner and president of baseball operations, where they did go have a private meeting with Pete Alonso and they got it done. 888-808-1019. There were some private meetings about the future of the winter Mets, your New York Knicks. And after those private meetings, they decided that they needed a new leader, a new voice, a new head coach. And we wait, and I don't know when it's going to be. We're going to have to keep waiting to find out who that's going to be. It better be the right choice. Because if this thing goes backwards, if this thing blows up, this will be the inflection point. This will be remembered as, okay, the Knicks were starting to turn into contenders and a version of the Knicks that we haven't seen, and they went back to being the Knicks of old. Tony's in Montreal on the fan. What's up, Tony?
How you doing, Keith? I'm glad to speak to you. And, I'm just wondering if you said, tell me something that makes you happy. So I'm going to give you something that I was looking at today. I was reading this. A little bit of Marcus Aurelius. He says he has a little bit of a philosopher, stoicism, and he said the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And I'm just going to give you one more of his stoicisms. The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them knows anything about the subject. So I think you're the emperor of New York radio, and that's why I listen to you. And I'm going to call you the emperor from now on, because when I listen to you talk to people, whether it's the gentleman that you call the limousine driver, you engage with them, you engage with everybody, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. It's like I'm talking to my buddy at work about the Montreal Canadiens or the Rangers, and that's why I think you're kick.
Or the Edmonton Oilers. I haven't mentioned that yet. They beat the Panthers in OT 4-3. Yeah, good job.
And I saw that game tonight, and I thought it was an unbelievable game. Down 3-1, they came back. If you saw the last goal, Keith, maybe you should watch the power play goal in overtime. The tic-tac-toe from Nugent, Hopkins to Perry to a backhand pass. Like, I know in basketball they make those line passes behind the back. Well, this was a Perry similar pass that behind the back right to McDavid. McDavid makes a saucer pass, flips it over to hockey stick, and a one-timer beats the best goalie in hockey, Bob Ross. So if you're watching that game and you don't like hockey, I don't know what would make you love it more than that. But I just want to say this, Keith, because I've been following you, and I love the polar bear. I think you're 100% right. This gentleman is the epitome of a superstar. He kept his mouth quiet. He did not talk. He was quiet. He showed loyalty. He came back to the team, and to get paid, he actually produces. So per dollar,
I'm not hearing you.
he is playing for the bank that he got, and he's doing great.
I thought you were talking to me. I was just saying I couldn't hear you.
I want to say one thing. I like the Knicks. I don't know a lot about basketball. I asked you a couple of questions about the great stars on that team, and you said the guy that I like that looks like Evander Kane from hockey. Evander's an amazing hockey player. He's like you said, the Mamba in Evander is similar to the gentleman that I was talking about, Grunt. I don't know how you pronounce his Brunton. And I just think that the Knicks should not have ever gotten rid of their coach. It's not enough time.
Thanks for the call, Tony. We ran out of time. John in Brooklyn, I'm sorry you called back. I couldn't get to you. Stay on hold for C-Mac. He'll rock with you. I'm the emperor now. No one's ever called me the emperor. I'm not the emperor of anything. Like, I just think that this is a radio station and a time for all of us, especially at night, where everybody can call in and weigh in and talk. And I just happen to be the one driving the vehicle. And now I'll step out of the vehicle and C-Mac will drive you the rest of the way this morning. I'm out. Good night. That's another one, yo. You heard? Tony in Montreal said I'm the emperor. I'm the king out here. The emperor of New York radio. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I know. Humbly. King of New York by way of New Jersey. We're all kings out here. If you get to host this many hours on New York radio, you are a king. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to have everybody in here rocking with me, yo, every night now. We've built a community. I'm promising you, like, I am working on how to get the audio, the true audio into here. I'm this close to figuring out how to get it all set up so it sounds better. Thanks for watching. Thanks for engaging in the chat. Appreciate y'all. We'll do this again tomorrow night after the Yankee game.